Good evening, welcome to Poker Night Live. It's a high to mid-brow chat show without any celebrity guests, but with a lot of poker. If we did have guests, they would be you, because of course we are a live show here on Poker Night Live, and you can get in touch with myself, Dr. Tom and James Browning, with your poker questions. Let me tell you how you can do that. Here it is, here's a text number, 62211, 62211. Send your texts to us live in the studio or email us at pokernightlive.co.uk, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Here's the website for you, pokernightlive.co.uk, to find out more about the show. So it's myself, Dr. Tom, and Mr. James Browning in the studio. Still looking a bit brown from your cruise, James. How was it?
Oh, thank you. It was absolutely brilliant, Tom. It was. I played 4 tourneys and got 2 results, so it came out profitable, which is always nice.
It's nice to get a result on a cruise, isn't it?
It isn't it? Actually, I think I should be what I do in future. I've only been on 2 cruises and showed profit on both. That might be the secret.
Yeah. Did you spare a thought for us back in the studio, James?
I did actually. That did actually sort of tarnish it a bit for me. I was sort of pining a bit for you.
You were cackling into your cocktail at the thought of us slugging out here in January in London. Ah, well, you can pay the penalty by taking us round the tables, James.
Do I have to?
Yes, you do. You've been a naughty boy.
Okay. Okay, we're kicking off with a $10 multi-table tournament. That's the bright green, and we'll be dipping in and out of that multi-table throughout the night. And if we have a final like last night, it'll be very good. There's a little baby tin go. It's a $2 one. First level, they're all still alive. Going up the scale slightly, we're up to $5. Again, just at the starting level. They all started with 1,000. We can see there's not... Oh, no, yeah, Rod, he's doubled his stack. Nice start.
Mm-hmm.
And a cash game. Oh, a baby cash game. 25 cent, 50 cent. There's 1 seat available, so get there quick.
So there you go. It's a veritable chocolate box of poker delight there. You can see all the cards. It's real stakes, real people, real time, real commentators. Whoa. Everything's real here, so get comfortable. We're around till 2 o'clock in the morning. But with no further ado, we're going to get ourselves straight down to that little multi-table tournament.
Good idea, Tom.
And it's right at the top of the proceedings. Blinds still 10-20. So first level of the blinds. And it's going to roll forward. Hopefully we'll still be around when it finishes.
Yes, it was a really good final last night, Tom. There's a lot of play in the final of these MTTs, I'm glad to say.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Even the low stack, he's got, doesn't have to panic too much generally. So it's good to see.
So we have 297 entrants in tonight's Poker Night Live multi-table tournament, each putting in the customary $10 plus $1 to the house. And that means that 30 places are paid. First place is paid $816. Not a bad return at all.
Very nice. For a tenner. $10, 816. It's good, fantastic, isn't it?
And of course you get to play on live TV. So a pair of queens for Charwell there. Chases out the Jack King off and takes the pot down.
Yeah, the blinds go up here every 12 minutes.
It's not bad, is it?
It's not bad. I'll tell you what, the structures, I've been impressed by the structure myself, because throughout the tournament it seems to be never too much pressure. There does seem to be far more play in it than I actually imagined. I don't quite know why there's so much play in it, because you just start with 1,500 chips. But maybe it's by virtue of the fact that people sort of kill themselves off too quickly early on.
I think that's it, James. At the lower stakes, what generates the casualties in the sort of first half of the tourney is not the blinds rise, it's the innate aggression of the players. And that produces a lot of play in the interesting part at the end.
That's right, it gives the other players chips to play with. They
Yeah.
sort of sponsor it for the rest of them.
That's right. Well, some of them will still be hanging around there.
Well, accidentally.
Accidentally. They may even go on and win it. But it does produce a lot of play, which is nice.
Yeah, I suppose it can be quite annoying when you try to commit to suicide. You live forever, ever. It's just...
No, it's gutting.
You jump off a cliff with a sort of rope round your neck. Yep, survive it.
Whoopla!
End up winning the tourney. Very good.
Gary Gray makes the better of the two flushes there. And Snoopy forlornly, but now he must fold this. Yes, he does with his two pair. I think that's a clear check for me on the river there in first position, James, with Jack 10, isn't it?
Yes. Well, a good start there for Gree, or misspelling of Gray. I'm not sure who he is. Born winner. There's confidence.
Well, he's doubled through somewhere. And that's the largest raise, 5 times the big... Oh, wow. And an even larger re-raise.
Certainly is. The blinds are 10-20, guys.
Whew, it's been called.
This is bizarre, isn't it?
Certainly of all the plays, though, the most questionable was the call.
I mean, that's just... See, the thing is, that's just absolutely wild play to start with. The blinds are 10-20. None of these bets bore any relation to the size of the blinds at all.
No, I mean, if I was going to come down on the side of one of these players, I would say Snoopy maybe decided that someone who's going to bet 5 times the big blind doesn't want to call her, and he made the move with the ace-10. I don't like to make it myself, personally.
But then he whacked in too much himself.
Yeah, that's right, 7 times his opponent's bet.
Yeah, that 5 times a bit wild, I'll whack in 7 times.
Which got called by a worse hand. So, funny old game.
Yeah, very funny a game. I mean, Snoopy got our money because we don't raise 5 times with the King Jack to start with.
Nope.
And we don't call with the King Jack the raise anyway, whatever we think.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the thing is, why this is so out of sync is this is a tournament with 297 people in it. So you can't win the tournament now. Don't try and win it now in the first 5 minutes. It's not possible. The other tables don't even know how many chips you've got.
And look at this, my first day puts in 9 times the big blind with his pocket kings. Maybe he's hoping to get a call from ace-10 or king jack.
Do you think there's a new poker exchange rate and we haven't heard about it?
Maybe.
There's been, it could be an inflation or something in the poker world. From now on, raises have to be triple the size or something.
Maybe it's convention we're not aware of.
Yeah, it could have all changed. It could be just a new world. We'll check it out. If this continues, I'm going to stop thinking it's happened.
Well, we'll watch this hand through to its possibly strange conclusion, and then we'll go through the matrix to a sit and go.
Snoopy, being very cautious for him. There's only 100 in the pot. What's going on? Yes, that's right. We'll bet 260 into a pot of 100. There's definitely something happened to the exchange rate for sure.
Very strange, very strange. Passed up an opportunity to trap nicely there. I don't know what's going on. Now let's go and see if we can find some sense on a sit and go. Look, this is familiar territory, James. We know all about these.
It's scary if they do the same thing. It could be a conspiracy.
You think so?
Could be. We'll drive Dr. Tom and James absolutely crazy tonight.
Well, I'll commentate and you log on and play and sit and go and see what you end up doing.
That's right. That's a good idea. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
We've got Will Meister. He's a regular, but I haven't seen him for a while. I'm not a minger. I'm talking about the player in seat 2. Not just saying an affirmation live on TV. But I don't know the other players. James?
Will Tomcat. I recognise that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Not a Minger was on last night. No, I think that's about it, actually. Certain names tend to run into each other. I look at Brundorf. I think, well, maybe I have heard that one as well, but... sort of half Doyle Brunson and half Dorf, whatever that makes you.
And there's been check here on the river, and this is for me is definitely a check from Brundorf. Yeah, and he has checked. Knows he might well have a winner, but doesn't want to bet into someone who might be planning to raise him. So at the first level here of this sit and go, and 7 deuce there, the mighty 7 deuce puts in 2.5 big blinds. Nice sort of Strange size, might confuse people into folding. It's confused Brundle into calling.
Actually, it's very important when you've got that interesting one there we talked about him at the end there. It's very important if you've sort of got like a middle-ish sort of hand.
You're talking about the Queen Jack?
Yeah, it's a Queen Jack. It's very important not to try and... it's not a good territory for trying to bluff. You're not getting very good value because you might win it on merit.
Yeah.
So therefore, the amount of wins you capture is not so many. Because if it's possible that you could have won it on merit, you've bluffed it, you think you've bluffed it, you haven't, you'd have won it anyway, so you've taken a risk for nothing in those cases. So in situations when you have this sort of middle sort of hand, often really think again if you think I'm going to try and steal this or whatever.
I think that hand there was probably exactly a hand which couldn't bluff anything. It could only push someone off a hand that it was beating anyway.
Yes.
So there was no room.
But I think that's a good thing for people to look at, isn't it? A good guideline. Those middle range hands.
Yeah.
If you want to do a bluff, obviously you're getting full clout for your bluff if you've got absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Because this is really a bluff. There's no other way are you going to win it. But that means when you are successful, you've been very successful. So that's that area, because that does come into the equation. So I just like people to sort of bear that in mind. So, well, this game seems... Oh, what did I say? Sorry. I said this seems very tame. 300 from Willmeister with Jack 10.
Do you think he might have mistyped? I don't think he did, because people have funny palpitations when they pick up Jack 10. It does strange things to them. It sets vibrations going. It's a unique hand, Jack 10. Well, it's not, though. It's actually not different from any other hand, or at least neighbouring hands. But people kind of have this mystical feeling about Jack 10.
An affiliation to it.
Yeah, they just feel it's got special powers that no other hand has.
Scary.
I've not found the powers myself, but I'm not surprised if someone's going to make a move of 15 times the big blind and you tell me, well, I saw him make this move, what hand do you think he has? Jack 10 would probably be the first one that sprung to mind.
I think what's happened is, the reason is, I think they've heard along the way that Jack 10 suited is favoured over some of the lower pairs.
Okay, by about 1%.
Yes, but I mean, yeah, but they're favoured, it's favoured over them. So that's sort of part of the myth, I think. So they think, oh yes, Jack 10, special powers. Special powers is favoured over a pair. So Ace King, no, it isn't. So that's what it likes. So that's one of its mystical powers. The other thing is they know that it's going to make a nut straight a lot of the time.
Well,
mystical powers.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm just trying to look on the defence of the people who think it's got mystical powers. I personally am not a great believer in it.
Yeah. So about 2% of the time it gets these mystical powers.
Yes.
And the rest of the time it's Jack High.
That's the problem with it.
Okay.
That's my problem with it. Yeah.
Well, he's still in, Mr. Willmeister. Four, 5, 6, 7, 7. That's a pregnant sort of board. And it was a fairly rubbish two-pair ticket in the end.
Gailing limps with 8 Jack. King Jack limps. I'm not a minger, makes up with King 3. Well, well, well. And there's not an ace in sight. Not a 5, but I'm not a minger's got a 3. But hard for I'm not a minger to believe that they're winning.
Fruity bet there with a gut shot.
Yep. Definitely a semi-bluff.
Oh, yeah, I got called. Annie Two-Star gives no respect.
With K. Tonight is starting to feel really sort of strange. It does, Tom. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of weird things happening.
And look at that. Annie's Two-Star is going to take this down just with the Bear King. Amazing.
Have we stopped? Have we missed the time delay?
I don't know what's going on.
I suddenly forgot to put the time delay on and knew how to call. That is weird, isn't it? How on earth can you...
I think Any Two Star had taken a view by then.
Well, definitely took a few, but I mean, this is like a keyhole surgery. How on earth can you do this? Amazing. Plus, there was the other people in the pot.
Yeah. Well, Wilmeister has gone on tilt now, for sure.
So it's not just a view on Wilmeister. We'd have to go around this table again to see if anyone else had been lurking there with a big one.
Maybe it's a brilliant poker play, James. Any Two Star was certain that Wilmeister was
on a semi-bluff, middle pin straight draw.
Yeah, that's right. And she knew that it would look so strong calling that everyone else would definitely get out of the way.
Whew.
Fwoof indeed.
Yeah, you're on a middle pin straight draw. I know. Call. You should have raised, actually.
That's right. If he knows his opponents on that. Unless Any Two Star says, I know, not only is he on the draw...
He'll miss, and he'll pay me off again.
He'll bet again on the turn.
Well,
what
that's
a player.
amazing. This is some of the most far-sighted play I've seen.
It is, but unfortunately, she's scuffed it up. Well, no, she's not. She's caught an ace. Well, she decimated that guy. I think they're going through a divorce. They're married to each other. And
I'll call you with anything.
Annie's already cut up all his suits.
That's no good. He only plays suited.
Ay, ay, ay. I can't believe you gave up stand-up comedy. James. I mean, I just can't believe it.
Cheeky.
Well, let's see if she calms down.
I'm not joking. Tonight, the betting in that multi-table tournament and now this play, this is very, very peculiar so far. Still, it all adds to the interest of the show. We see it all here, live on Poker Night Live. We see all their cards. We see every amazing play that they make. And we are here to really try our best to try and decipher them. Tonight might be a bit of a test.
And he's got top pair.
Don't know what she does with a real hand. Just calls, of course. Gailing is in there as well now, eh?
Why?
Middle pin straight, obviously.
True. Threes are all live. That's a nice card for Annie. Will Tom has not made his straight.
Does Annie know she's winning? I'm sure she does.
She won't get any cash, but let's see how much she tries to get.
600.
Pot size bet, a bit less.
Will Tomcat. Delaying for no known reason, but passes. Well, whatever we said, Annie is certainly the front runner. 2,920, a scintillating start chip-wise.
Yes. Do you think she's going to win it?
No. I was thinking that myself, though. I was thinking, who is going to win this? And I suppose I was looking at Brundorf, who's got off to a reasonable start, but seems to be a bit more controlled.
Okay.
But I don't know Brundorf, but I was thinking that just before you asked it. What about you? Who do you think she's going to win it?
I'll tell you what, James, I'm going to plump for her.
Oh, you are. Is there a size of a stack swaying you?
Well, I can't tell a lie it is, but it's also her gumption. She's got cracking gumption.
Well, gumption's a very important thing.
It is. Well, we're going to come back and have a look later.
Okay, don't forget Annie 2-star for Tom and Brundorf for James.
But we're going to nip back to the MTT and see if it's calmed down there through the matrix.
25 tables left, Tom. And we're down to 197 players. Wow, we've lost 100 already. That's 100 players sunk without trace.
Strange things happen. Well, let's see if the betting has calmed down. There's a little. Twice the big blind there from ace-8 suited. He's got a bit of a nice flop there, but with 5 players in the pot, even with ace-8, you're not jumping for joy because you can be outkicked. However, Coco is going to feel fairly optimistic. How's he going to play this?
There's that mystical Jack 10. $15.75 in the pot. What are we going to see? A bet of 300. Called by Soups with a flush draw.
Yeah, small enough to call, just about. But with a pair on the board and a very dangerous pair, Soups. Yeah, well, the King of Hearts makes no difference, but the King of Clubs, for example, would not have been a desperately safe card. Always a danger that your flush card will give someone else a full house when there's a pair on the board.
That's right, there's always a danger as well that someone there even had the ace of clubs in their hand. They could have been in there with the multi-purpose hand, possibly.
You always want the multi-purpose hand, don't you? The Swiss Army knife hand.
That's right. I like that, the Swiss Army knife, I like that.
Ladies in seat 5.
For Musmik. How much is the raise going to be, Tom? The big blind's 150. What do you reckon?
450 from me, for him 600.
Okay, well that's quite tame for the tonight so far, 600. That's a conservative raise from Musmik. Okay, Soups. Not many hands out here of any note. Better raise. Whoa, that's chirpy. At least he's done the size raise you recommended. Not perhaps with the hand you recommended, but there we go. Quite early position to be raising with Queen 9, but he's done the business.
It's a handsome sort of hand, doesn't it?
It looks pretty.
Yeah, not so good close up.
No, not under scrutiny.
Well, they are under scrutiny, of course, here on Poker Night Live. Nothing gets past our eagle eyes, apart from the odd straight, in my case. We're going to go back to that sit and go now.
And we'll check out how our players are doing.
There
Oops,
she is.
Addy Star's been decimated.
Someone sucked out on her.
James's Brundorf looks to be doing...
He got lucky fish. Look, he's playing with a pair of 3s.
What's he doing now?
I don't know, he's in trouble. How about just a last longer between Annie and Brundorf? Oh, I don't fancy it now.
I think El Ganador looks quite strong here.
Yes, he does. Home and dry. Ah, well, blind still 20-40. Plenty of play left in this, I think, James. She was just doing a bit of high-profile advertising.
Right.
And she knew if she slaughtered half her chips, she would win it back and more on the back of pulling the wool over her opponent's eyes.
Yes, the problem is some of these advertising campaigns can be quite expensive, really.
Well, you know, it's going to pay off.
Speculate to accumulate, know what you mean, mate?
If you're going to get Tiger Woods to advertise your baked beans, then you must think it's going to pay off. Spurious analogies abound on Poker Night Live tonight.
Tiger Woods and baked beans. Yes, well, there we go then. Certainly get variety here.
Oh, what a loose call from Brundle. 5-7 suited. Did you back this guy, James?
Yes.
And there's Annie. Flop the up and down 3 straights. She's just checked it. Sly dog.
The 3 straight. Oh, she had the 3 flush as well.
Yeah, right. She's got a 4 flush now.
Yes, no, now it's life's improved.
And she is lying currently in 2nd place. But probably not going to persuade a full house to lay down. So don't bet. I've got a feeling she's going to. 120 in the pot. There's the bet 80. And just a minimum raise. Trying to extract another 80 out.
Good re-raise here, Annie, would be fun. Oh, no.
Yeah, I think she gets called. I think she'll get called.
That was El Ganador with the magical Jack 4. To be fair, he was on the blind.
Will Tomcat moves all in, and no need to do that at all. Absolutely no need to make that move. It's almost certainly going to work. If Al Ganador were to call, Ace-5 there is only a tiny favourite. You wouldn't believe how close it is between 9-10 suited and Ace-5 off. Something like 51-49. And the Jacks, however, are the executioner, and an unnecessary move there from Will Tomcat.
Well, and he decides to have a look with King 6 off suit. A raise from King Jack on the button.
Not a raising hand, King Jack.
That raise with King Jack on the button is better than a flat call with King 6.
Which is more deceptive, James? I ask you that, which is more deceptive?
Yes, I find it difficult to put on the King 6, but unfortunately I have to leave the money behind.
Also deceptive.
So this power of deception hasn't been paid off too well.
King Jack fails to connect. Nines, however, are a bit worried about the ace, and it's representation time. There it is. Al Ganador sticks in the bet, and it's going to be difficult for I'm Not a Million now. And that's the trouble with these pairs like this, pairs of nines. Although in principle they're strong, so often you just have to take a view. And
so
here, if you took a view and said, well, I don't think he's got it, great, makes a good profit. But I don't like taking a view in poker.
I'll tell you what, I find them very difficult to play.
Yeah.
I still resort especially in cash games, things, especially rather. I tend to play these middle pairs. I tend to like to play them as drawing hands, basically.
Pretend they're deuces.
Yep. And then they often get paid off very well when you hit, because people think you would have been doing more with them, because they rate them higher themselves. So therefore you do have an element of deception by playing them that way. And they just tend to get well paid off. But otherwise, the other way is to re-raise with them pre-flop. So if you think someone's doing sort of a position raise, well, come over the top of them and put in a decent sized re-raise, because therefore you're probably good chance that you are favourite, and you'll know exactly where you are, because you'll certainly feel his wrath if he's got a bigger pair.
And that's fine until they call, though. And then
now we're back in the land of trouble again.
Where you were, yeah.
Yeah. It's quite good, though, if you've got position, because your re-raise will probably have slowed them down.
But buying a free card for the turn doesn't help massively for a pocket pair in the way it does, say, for two big cards, ace-king, say.
No, it doesn't, because you've only got the two cards you're drawing to. No, they are difficult hands to play. Very difficult hands to play. As I said, if I'm at a passive table, I do play them quite aggressively, because the chances are that if I end up heads up against someone, which is likely if I play it aggressively, well, then my opponent is likely to be 2-1 against to hit their flop.
Of course.
And I've got the made hand. So therefore that's quite nice, because if I've raised pre-flop, I probably, even if I raise with ace-king pre-flop, I'll probably make a continuation bet if I haven't hit the flop anyway. So now, if I raise pre-flop with my nines, I've ended up heads up, and now I make my bets. Well, I'll be actually capturing some people who maybe have been in there with a small pair and think I'm making a continuation bet after I've missed. And I find I get paid off on those. So there is, but basically I think you need to have position to do that, though. So if I play aggressively with it, then I like to have position. So I don't want to be in early position with it, because then it's harder. But I agree with you. I think it's a forever testing hand to play. I sympathise with your feelings on it. So what are you doing with them anyway?
Assuming I'm chipped up, I think tens are probably below the line and jacks are above it. So I'm going to play them like you. I'm going to vary it. Obviously, I pursue a mixed strategy, so I would almost never raise with a pair of sixes. I just don't like the move. It just smells like machismo to me. But with tens, maybe...
I could on the button.
against...
I would raise them on the button against the blinds.
Yeah, sure, but just because I'd raise all sorts of hands on the button.
Yes, so I'd raise a pair of sixes on the button against the blinds. Yeah, go on.
But with the tens, I'm probably going to play them as a drawing hand, maybe 2/3 of the time, and then find places to raise them for the sorts of reasons you were describing for the other third of the time. But I'm happier playing them as a drawing hand. I just know I can't afford to be consistent about it.
Okay, I'll tell you why that I do raise them. The other reason, it's to explain further the reason, is because I will often put in a continuity bet after I've missed with my raise with two big cards. It's very good that somewhere along the line they see that I do the bet when I undo a raise with something like a pair of nines or a pair of tens. So now when I've done the raise, at least this will cross their mind and say, oh gosh, you might have a pair of nines. Because he'd play that, he would bet that. I've seen him do it before. So you have to give them evidence of these hands, of made hands you'll play like that. So if you never played them, for example, they can say, well, hang on, he never plays his pairs, nines and tens like that anyway. So he's missed, probably. So that's the reason you've got to show them, and you've got to play that way, because it'll help your other plays. It'll help you to steal when you have missed. Do you think there's a valid point there?
Yeah, I mean, that if you're playing with people for any length of time, it's absolutely crucial to keep them in doubt like that.
Yeah, and the follow-up to that is, I would also say to people, is to raise, and certain times when you've hit the flop, check it. Because they've also got to be able to see that you can check when you've got the top pair. So you're not just an open book. So you've got to every now and again show them something else. Now this will give you the scope that sometimes when you've missed, you can check, and you might still get a free card. So again, you've got to show people the different things so you can represent different things in other situations.
And he's out.
Well, no surprise to some of us.
Well, she was unlucky. She got top pair. She got top pair. But unfortunately, Gailing, lucky fish, had a pair of queens. Ah, well, I'm playing the field now.
Well, you can't have Brundorf, he's mine. I have to warn you, I've been in red-hot form tipping in these.
Have you?
Whoa.
Okay.
Red hot. I mean, I think you'd have probably followed me on some of my tips. Johan Harren I've picked a couple of times. He's been doing very well. But if Brundorf can seal this one, it'll be a continuation of an amazing run.
We've got quite an interesting bubble situation here because there's plenty of play in it. 40-80 of the blinds, so I'm not a big... It is now low stacked, no doubt about that. But if he can double through, we'll have a classic bubble situation where there's enough play for people's different bubble strategies to become apparent to us.
Can you enlighten us what the different bubble strategies might be?
Yeah, broadly speaking, there are two. One is that you don't get involved in marginal situations and hope someone else will bust out to put you definitely in the money. And the other strategy...
So gain with no risk.
That's right.
Always exactly. Quite tempting.
Because, of course, your equity increases when someone busts out at the bubble, because you make money. And the other strategy exploits that strategy, like all good poker strategies. It exploits other people's unwillingness to get involved and plays aggressively, accumulating chips in that situation so that not only do you happily get into the money, you go into the final three with a big chip lead and increase your chance of getting first place. You do, of course, however, entertain more risk in pursuing that strategy because there's no reason why someone can't have aces when you play against them, and it would take a hell of a bubble player to put down aces.
Right. No one connected here, but Gailing doesn't need to.
Oh, what a shame. There's the end of our interesting bubble situation.
There it is.
However, there are a series of bubbles, mini bubbles to follow. there's not, in fact, in terms of your long-term expectation, any difference between going from 4th to 3rd and from going to 2nd to 1st, because there's 20% of the prize money between each of those.
Yes, the one here now is, in fact, you can actually look more towards first, because the difference between 3rd and 2nd is only 30% to 20%.
Yeah.
Which is neither here nor there.
No, not between friends.
So, yes, one actually should now really be concentrating on trying to win the tournament, I believe now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be looking at that 2nd place particularly at all. Well, I'll be looking at it exactly the amount of time according to the percentage difference, basically.
How do you mean?
In a way, because there's such a small difference between... it is worth a minimum look at somewhere along the line. It might just about sway a play. It's not going to sway a very large percentage of my plays, basically.
So you're saying it's got to be a very marginal situation for the possibility that you'll move into 2nd painlessly to change you?
It probably will be ignored most times, but I said, okay, there'll be the odd time it looks like, I've got to... It doesn't matter too much which way I'll go this way, and say, okay, well, I might as well let him fight it, and it might just take me smoothly into 2nd with no risk. Mm-hmm. So that would just about sway me on a... If I was on a borderline decision which way to play it, then that would just about sway me. Because, of course, as we said, your risk-reward ratio when there's no risk comes out pretty strong.
Well, that's overkill.
It is. Not flushy.
Al Ganador was already ahead with 2 pair.
Got the icing on the cake with runner to make a flush. But Brundorf is still our chip leader. There's Dr. Tom's sweetheart, Annie 2-star.
Now, hang on a minute. I never claimed to have any interest in her other than her King 6 calls in mid-position and other interesting inventive plays. You know, I don't know, Annie 2-star might be a brickie from Birmingham for all
exactly,
I know.
But you did like the cut of his or her metal.
I did. I did like the sashaying of the, what was it, Queen 9? King 9? Can't remember, anyway.
King 4, I think, I did everything.
Anyway, it was brilliant.
No, the king, yes, the king...
The suited king.
The King Jack suited, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Maybe it was off suit. Anyway, she took out Willmeister.
The suited didn't matter, there was no flush draw anyway. Yeah. So when she sort of amazingly read that it was a bluff, or a semi-bluff, and even though there was loads of plays at the table, she was fearless. But unfortunately, this fearlessness probably has left her watching the rest of the tournament. Well, Brundorf has smoothly moved into more than half the chips.
Fantastic. Some people would say here that his chances of winning the tournament is now more than half because he can bully his opponents.
Yes. I'll tell you what, if there was a bigger difference between 2nd and 3rd prize, I think that would definitely be the case.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, the tournament I was in on the cruise, there was a big difference. I was down to the last 3. There were 342 players. 3rd prize was just over 12,000. 2nd prize was 18,000. And 1st prize was 29,000. So therefore, there's still quite a decent jump, isn't it? You know, 12 to 18 is significant. So now in that case, I believe that the chip leader has a good advantage over the 2nd and 3rd, because he can keep on asking questions, and they will probably tend to have to be a little bit tactical. So I would agree with that. In fact, that leads me to what happened, to see what you think about this, Tom. I was actually just in 2nd place. There was a good, healthy chip leader, and I wasn't on the blinds. The blinds were 10,000, 20,000. There was a running ante, and I actually pushed in for 200,000 or something. The guy in 3rd place passed, and the chip leader called me with King Queen.
What did you have, James?
I didn't say what I had. I've just voluntarily played when I'm in this sort of situation. Well, I think as a player, you'd have to think I've got a hand because of the difference between second and third. I could have sat back and let him fight the other guy, but I've volunteered to play.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, because of the difference I'm saying between second and third, I think this is what comes into it. Anyway, as it happens, I had ace-jack suited. I don't think the king-queen can expect to be favourite in this against any hand I'm volunteered to play here.
It's a big call, regardless of strategic tournament decisions, I think,
Yes,
anyway.
it's a big call anyway. I don't think he can name the hand, because if I've got a pair, he's underdog. If I've got any ace, he's underdog. If I've got ace-2, he's underdog. Don't think I'll be doing it now and with king-jack or king-10 particularly. I can't see the hand he wants me to have. And I think his mistake was, because he had a good chip lead, and we were both pretty neck and neck, second and third, he could have bullied us relentlessly without very little risk.
Sure.
Rather than risking. I swapped places with him. I become massive chip leader in the tournament instead of him if I win this pot. Why does he want to do that? Risk that? Just calling. So that linked up with what I'm saying about you were saying about the person with more than half the chips being a better chance than that. I think he had a better chance certainly not by not calling me. Now he doesn't have a better chance. He's certainly, he's reduced his chances basically with this play. Would you agree? Or
I'd absolutely agree. I mean, whether you should make plays with your own hand, I mean, you were ahead anyway, it's by the by, but on the basis of other people's strategic objectives in tournaments is always slightly dodgy, because you can't be sure that they have the same strategic objectives as you. And indeed, this is something me and Casper talk about, whether or not there is such a thing as tournament strategy. Certainly people have different opinions on the extent to which it applies or contradicts what is sound cash game strategy in a tournament.
Tom, we better just see this.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pair of jacks. It's top pair for El Ganador. And he's overkill. He's made it trips.
Second, hard luck, James. Second place. Oh, well.
Still good, though.
Yeah, not bad. Oh, there's a chip movement graph.
Ooh.
Fantastic. Look at that. Alganor. Lovely. Oh, wow, it's beautiful. And look at what was his name?
Brunsdorf, yes. Green.
Flying high all the way through the mid-game.
Very solid. And then faded fast.
Wow. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, let's have a quick look at the MTT before we take our first batch of emails. And here they are. Blinds now 150, 300. Pair of cowboys on the button. That's what you want. And he's flat called. You dirty dog. It's all right to do that, provided you've done it with other hands. If every other time you've been on the button you've been raising, then there's a danger where your flat call will be taken as a big pair, and you'll be slow playing with no deception attached to it. But he's all right. 3 undercards. He takes the pot down. Look, Jack 10 suited.
Yes, the magic.
The uber hand.
Dumped without thought, without hesitation, cast out.
Whereas the 9 deuce is having a good think about it.
Pair of 9s, talked about that earlier.
450
Pop in a raise.
in the pot.
Yes.
That's a nice raise.
Nice bet. And I think that's good to make that bet there, because, as we said, it's a difficult hand to play. Don't despair. You've just taken 450 chips and you've got no problems. Very nice. Pop in that raise.
So Expo's now fairly short stacked. What's he going to do? King 7? Is this his moment? Nope.
Yes, the big blind is 300, and ex-Pos fan is definitely under pressure here. In fact, I feel he should have made his move before now.
Not a great hand, King 7, but I take it when it's folded round to me on the button, perhaps as a sign to make a move.
I worry that he's let himself get down to 1,500 because I'd have liked him to be looking at, when he still had a 2,000 there to make his move. Still more. I want to have that extra chance that people will still put their hand down. Okay,
he's got a bit of folding equity here.
He's still got some. The problem is it? Oh, now it's difficult. You see, it's up to 2-4, and now.
He's laughing. He's going to get into a pot with Gron. This couldn't be a better situation.
No, he's picked up a good hand now. Yes.
And a great situation.
He's picked up a good hand now. He's going to be with a bit of luck back in business.
Oh, he must push here.
And he does. Gron.
Great, and the overcard folds. He's laughing.
No 7, he says. Yes. Now he's okay for a little. He can go around.
It's funny, isn't there, with the blinds going up like that, he's really still basically pretty short stacked.
He is a bit, but he's still, I'll have this thing about 2,007 big blinds there. I still feel that people don't want to call with that much money. If you're on the level, if you're just going about on average chips, you don't want to pay someone 7 big blinds. You can't afford to. So it's enough to get people to put their hand down. You've still got quite a bit of folding equity there. So, but still, he has to be aggressive. If he sees an opportunity, he's got to. He'll be happy to take the blinds down. The blinds are significant because 600, it's increases his stack by nearly a fifth. Which is very good. So can't turn your nose up if you take the blinds down. But if they call, then you need to get lucky. So then you can have a bit more play. But we have to be willing to take these chances when we're in this dodgy position.
Ooh, just a small raise there from the ace-queen. It looked like he wanted to play a pot, but Gron denied him the opportunity. Well, let's have a look at a few emails then. We've got one here from Garrick9, saying, "Good evening, gentlemen. James, I've seen you the last couple of mornings before I make my way to work. I love your comments and your advice from the shows.
Thank you very much.
Here's a question for the both of you. How do you play suited connectors in no limit hold'em? I keep dabbling with them, but I never get anywhere. Help.
Help.
How do you get somewhere with suited connectors?
Suited connectors, if you're in late position, and there's quite a few people limped in the pot, I would advise you just limp in the pot as well. Because what you want is, when you hand like suited connectors, is you want to have company. Because it's a sort of hand where it's going to end you up probably in a draw situation. You might have a straight draw, flush draw, you might be lucky, you might get them both. Or, of course, you might hit some random trips. But what you want is company. So, therefore, when you do connect, or it gives you, you'll get well paid, or it'll give you value, perhaps, to call. Because you don't want to be ending up playing flush draws, for example, heads up particularly, or a straight draw, heads up. Because it's not value, and also when it comes to the turn, if you're against a good player, they can bet so much that you just can't continue. So therefore, if there are more people in the pot, then it's more likely it becomes a practical situation for you to be drawing with value. So that's certainly one position where they play quite well. Suited connectors, another way, you can, every now and again, if you're in a passive game, every now and again, if I've been raising quite a lot, every now and again I might pop in a funny raise with something like suited connectors. The reason is they'll be putting me on my hand like like ace king, ace queen, big cards, big pair, whatever. And every now and again, but just keep it every now and again, otherwise you're not playing clever, you're playing foolish. Every now and again, pop in a raise maybe with a hand like suited connectors, and you might actually win a really big pot because they're just not putting you in that area at all. Anyway, there's a couple of bits of advice on it. Hope that helps.
And just remember, if you're only going to play those as drawing hands, you're not interested in catching, for example, if you've got 6-7, you're not interested if you catch a 7, then if it's non-suited, then they are, in fact, only half as good. So suitedness does make a difference in that case. Got a question here from Andy, who says, "Hi guys, great show as always." Thank you, Andy. He didn't say that, I put that in. I've got a little hypothetical question for you. Say it's the first hand in a big multi-table tourney. Say it's the World Series of Poker main event. That's a big one. And you have the big blind. It could well happen. It gets folded round to the small blind and he moves all in. He accidentally exposes his cards, which show ace-king suited. You look down and you find 2 black queens. Should you take this coin flip early on? I'm assuming I'm not the best player in the field, so I'll have to get my share of luck in order to go the whole way. Wow. What do you think, James?
It's a good question. I think if you're definitely not the best player, then you should take this on, because you are a favourite and you should take this on, and this is your chance to double up, and this will give you leeway. So I think if you're definitely not the best player, yes, you should take this opportunity, because if you're not the best player, then you're likely to be making mistakes on decisions later on. This is a situation where the mistakes have been eradicated for you. You're actually getting your money in when you are favourite, so no one can take that away from you. It's not a massive favourite. It's not particularly the way we want to be jeopardising all our chips early on, but in the way you've described it, I would just vote for yes, you should play.
I think it's a very, very good point James makes there. And it's important to appraise the situation when you're playing poker. If you know that your edge over the field is less than 55% in an average matchup, you're not suddenly going to acquire any edge further along down the line. People say, well, I avoid these coin flips so I can get a better edge later. But if you haven't got that edge, if you know that as a player in that field you're not in great shape, then take the risk. It's not going to get better.
Actually, there's one more point, Tom, as well. There's some implied value here as well.
Oh, what's that? Oh, with the advertising?
No, because all of a sudden, at the beginning of this tournament, you've actually got 20,000 chips. At the beginning of the World Series. Now, actually, this gives you room to be able to maybe make a few plays. You could even be a little bit adventurous or whatever, because you've got everyone out chipped. You can't be knocked out anymore. So that actually gives you a license to even play a bit stronger than you ever would have done.
There you go, Andy. So good luck in the World Series. As long as you get dealt those queens, then you can put that plan into effect. Let's hope he hasn't got aces. We're going to take a short break now, just 7 minutes. Come back soon for more Poker Night Live. We'll see you very soon indeed. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. Thanks for sticking around. Let's have a look at some more of those emails. We've got one here from Marcus, who says, hi guys, as always a great show. Thank you, Marcus. He didn't say that, I said that. I'm fairly new to Hold'em, played for maybe 5 to 6 months online with a small profit, but do you have any tips on how to find out if I'm really any good? Or do I have to wait a year or so and see if I'm still ahead? I guess I could enter a tournament on Poker Night Live and hope you comment on my play this time. Very interesting, yeah. What do you think, James? What's the best way to know if you're good at poker?
Basically, it's quite easy. It's basically once you've played so many hands, then it becomes more significant. The more hands you play, the more significant it is that you're going to continue to be a winner. The other little thing we can look at is your total amount bet. There's an interesting equation that basically, if you have your total bet size is say 100,000 and you've returned 103,000, this is significant because it means that you've managed to beat the rake and still make a profit. And this means if you carried on like this, then you will certainly be a winning player. Now that's not quite enough. We need to go up to another, you have to have done it longer. But when we get to say our total bet size of about 400,000, and we have, say, 412,000. This is very significant, and we'd be betting our money that you will continue to be a winning player forever.
Yep.
I liked his other idea. Come on, play on Poker Night Live, and we'll see what you're made of, mate.
Yeah, that's the other way to do it. Of course, we are here in the business of expressing an opinion. If Gus Hansen came on and played under some pseudonym, we might wrongly say he's a terrible player because he does make eccentric moves. So we can only say whether people are going away from the orthodoxy of poker, whether or not they are winning players is less clear in the short term, though it does become clearer in the medium term. The other thing I would say, Marcus, is have a look at typing confidence intervals and poker into a search engine. You might well find that there'll be some sort of poker site somewhere giving you a chance to give you confidence intervals on how likely you are to be a winning player. It can be done statistically, which is something James was alluding to there, but it can be done if you can type in your standard deviation and your win rate, then it can give you a precise range of winning values you could be in. And if they're all positive, then you know you're a winning player.
There's one more thing you could do, keep you really busy, is get something, a bit of software, a bit like Poker Tracker, and this will certainly open your eyes to where your strengths and weaknesses are in your game. And nothing will be hidden, it'll be all exposed to you, and that will be very helpful as well.
Warts and all, warts and all. Let's have another quick look at the email before we go down to another table. It's from Mike. It says, James, thanks for the feedback yesterday. I took your advice on board and dropped down to a lower level cash game from 25 cent, 50 cent down to 5 cent, 10 cent, and I already feel much more comfortable playing at this level. I took $10 to the table and came away with $25 in just 40 minutes. I forgot to mention yesterday I've been playing about 6 months in total since listening to everyone's comments and advice on Poker Night Live. I'm sure my game has improved, so thanks for that. Your reward was well deserved. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Mike.
Well, Mike, I'm very pleased you listened to me last night. Mike had been having a problem. I think, if I remember last night, he'd felt that he was getting bullied offhand. He didn't feel confident. Mm-hmm. He'd been losing. So, as you can tell, I gave him the advice to drop down a level. One, it'll be better for his bankroll because his bankroll's already been depleted a little bit, so it'll be more in tune with the size of his bankroll. But also, he'll feel rich in that table and he'll feel confident. It'll be difficult then to bully him. And of course, you can do the bullying instead of being bullied because you feel fine and comfortable in the game. And when you play poker, you have to feel comfortable. There's an old saying, you can't win with frightened money. It's very, very true.
Thanks for that, Mike. Well, we're going to go back to our poker now, back to the multi-table tourney, but keep those emails coming. And here it is, blinds now 300, 600, well up from where they started on the 10-20. So the big blind is now a third of every player's starting stack.
Yeah, we've got 44 players left. 6 tables. So it's getting exciting.
And 30 places paid.
Oh, right, so we can...
No, I take that back. 20 places paid. Sorry, all those low stacks. I take it back.
All right, you got them excited. They got so excited then. Oh, I'm so near, I'm so close. Oh, Dr. Tom.
Oh, I've got breaking news here. It says that it's 30 places paid. So, well, don't listen, because either way, folks, there are 44 of you left.
This is a good point.
Doesn't matter whether it's 20 or 30, you're not going to cruise in. You need to get chips to get in there, because if you just hang around waiting for aces, you'll have all your money done long, long before you get there. And in fact, even if 40 places are paid, even then you've got to be a bit chary about just trying to hang around. Not least because it's no guarantee it'll get you into the money, but furthermore, although it may increase significantly your chance of getting into the money, if you're 4 places off it, by quietening down there, it may so massively decrease your overall tournament return likelihood, i.e. by massively decreasing your chance of winning the thing, that it would be a crazy thing to do.
Good, sound advice. Anyway, it's nice actually tonight. We've had a few there. It's nice to get people when they've, from the night before, suddenly have listened and had success from it, isn't it? It's nothing more satisfying than that, I can say. So it's really, really pleasing when we hear that.
It's not so good when they say, I took your advice last night and I've been kicked out of my house and
the bailiffs are around.
Had to put my wife on the game and then we feel a bit bad.
Yeah. Well, we don't read them out, actually. We
don't.
We just rip them up.
We just laugh at them in the breaks. Of course we don't do that.
And try and get discount with the wife.
James, please. I felt bad about saying it myself.
I know, I was trying to take the pressure off you.
Oh, thanks. Get yourself fired instead.
Well, remember to tell them I was trying to stick up for you.
Okay. I'll remember that. I don't know how much good it'll do there. I love this name, Reckless. I think it's very funny. The way you spelt it.
Oh, right, yes. Yes.
Oh, tight table. Apart from the deuce 10 call there. Short
Actually,
stacked. Mm-hmm.
It's quite fun because I know a guy, he plays on the internet, he calls himself Rich, but it's WRICHE or something. So...
he's not just dyslexic.
No. So he went to play another site. He thought his name, he was annoyed. He said, that name's been taken. He said, I can't use it. I said, why not call yourself Rags, W-R-A, which he did.
Well, Jay there, limping in with deuce 10, takes it down.
Okay, this blind, 600's a big blind. So, numero is certainly needing to find something, and no sooner said than done. 2 pairs on the flop against 1 pair who decides to bet at him. How tasty is that? Oh, and he's even got a flush draw to go with his 2 pairs. We'll be feeling very comfortable with the situation now, I'd imagine.
That's right, a couple of straight outs for Patsy. If Patsy had the straight draw, no good.
And got called. Very nice. From being in trouble to cruising.
Ladies, no one's got one. Who's going to represent one? Do you think by the river someone would do some representing?
Yes, it'll be interesting to see that. There's also a flush draw there as well. Now there's a double flush draw. The trouble is, I think people think that other people are going to be less likely to pass now because there's more likely something out there to please them.
Mm-hmm.
So it might sort of slow them down. But we've had a little bet from numero. And well done.
And he was in the strongest position there because he had the worst hand, so he had to bluff it.
That's right, that's what we talked on earlier. At least he was getting full clout for his bluff, because there's no way was he going to win it on merit. So yeah, interesting.
Strange game.
But actually the size of the bet he got tremendous value, didn't he?
That's right.
He's taken the pot down for risking 600.
It's a nice bet when the board is paired like that.
He's bet the big blind, that's all he's done. He's one big blind, he's flicked it in the middle. Thank you very much, and took it down. Good bet, good opportunist bet.
Remember that one, folks, pair on the board. People say, well, he might be bluffing, but if he's got it, he's going to bet at me again, and they just let their hands go. So it's a great position to put in a high-value bluff.
Yeah, because they hate the small bet, because, oh, no, you're trying to milk me. You've got that. You've got the trips. You're trying to milk me. You're trying to milk me, or whatever. And they get frightened. Yep.
Great stuff. Well, we haven't had a cash game yet tonight, so we're going to take you now down to the 2-4.
Oh, the 2-4. There we go.
Tragic Trev, my mate.
Tell you what, Tragic Trev.
What about him?
He was in devastating form last night.
Was he?
Fantastic. He was in the 2-4 game. I couldn't count how many chips he had. It was unbelievable. 4 figures. Whoa, up there, well up there.
And did you see him acquire them?
I didn't, unfortunately. I saw him sort of sat there with them in front of him. I did see him acquire some of them, yes. He was making very good progress, basically, throughout the night.
Well, he's playing 4-handed here, which is not everyone's cup of tea.
Is it Tragic Trev's?
Well, we're going to find out. Successfully gets away from the 9-10 unsuited. Chosen had the blockers there, pair of queens.
I don't think we're going to get Snap-It joining the short-handed, do you?
Nah, I don't think so.
I think when it fills up, Snap-It will slide in there in the 7th or 8th seat, maybe.
Oh no, Snap-It's multi-tabling at the low level now. He's changed his pond.
He was here last night.
Oh, was he? Oh, he's always mixing up Snap-It.
You can't keep track of him. He was in the lower games. He was in the 50-cent $1, but then he was in the $2, $4.
Uh-huh.
Everywhere he was.
All over the programme like a rash.
Good to see him, though. But I'm just saying, I don't think he likes short-handed so much, but I'm not certain.
No.
I get the feeling he doesn't. He likes to play a very, very solid game, and I think some of the fluctuations of this short-handed no limit. I find it quite... Short-handed no limit, it is quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm happy to sit down and play sit and go, short-handed or heads up, just for fun, keep my hand in.
Oh yeah, oh no, I think it's good to do it.
But I don't do it for profit.
Right. I've recently been experimenting with playing short-handed cash games.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing some 5-seater pot limit, which is quite fun, because there I go on there and I try to become a monster.
You try to become a monster?
Well, because whereas in a ring game I can still be quite selective, etc., etc., in that 5-seater pot limit, I will be very much I try to be the most aggressive at the table.
And do you succeed in becoming a monster?
Yes, I think so. Especially I've been playing a lower level pot limit, so I felt very comfortable because I was sort of experimenting with some different plays. So I felt comfortable. I wasn't going to be worried about what was going on. So I was able to be quite aggressive.
And what kind of monstrous plays did you make?
Well, I was popping in lots of raises. I was doing lots of pot raises pre-flop, but with a lot of different hands. Ace and smaller kickers, I'd still be whacking it in there, etc., etc. Then they'd see that I'd be following up bets. But of course, I would be actually stepping on the brake pedal when I really thought I didn't like the situation anymore. However, when I had a real hand, then I would still be betting away, but this time there'd be no brake pedal and I'd keep on betting, but they'd tend to call. So what would happen would be there'd be a lot of fluctuations, but then every now and again there's a hand come along and wallop, you get a big payday on it.
So you're playing the game of acquiring a loose aggressive image and then getting paid when you've got the big hands.
On that game, yes.
As opposed to having the tight image and getting paid.
And what I went to an area, it's a site I've been playing regularly, but I went to an area which I haven't actually been playing on that. So I went to a lower level where they wouldn't particularly know who I was or see my game. So I was like a new player to them. And created this image for this table.
They probably thought you were Swedish.
They probably maybe did, yes. Yeah, look at that. He's put an English address just to prove. We know you're Swedish. Don't try and trick us with Whitley Bay or somewhere. That's just rubbish. You're Swedish, pal. Bet all the time. So, well, there's a nice hand. Aces, but it didn't find any customers. So what do you think of that description?
Of your play? How did you feel about it, James? Were you happy, or were you thrilled, or were you a tourist in this style?
That is a good question. I'll tell you what, before I answer that bit, I did actually go to the no limit short-handed and decided to try a little bit the same. I don't think I felt quite as happy there.
What's the difference?
Because people could ask bigger questions. In the no limit, they could ask a bigger question. So therefore, when I was playing a more sort of chancy hand, I could suddenly be asked a big question which I can't answer because I really think, uh-oh. Whereas in the pot limit, one actually controls the size of the pot very much yourself.
I'm surprised you say that, because my experience with no limit is that all the good players in no limit are pot size bets or smaller, and most overbets are wrong, are mistakes.
Right, but in the short-handed, it tends to be a lot more fluctuations. People are far more, seem to be, in the no limit, they're far more aggressive.
I guess an important point here is that if you're playing in a full-handed no-limit game and someone makes a big bet at you, much more often if you're in the pot, you're in there with a big hand that you can play with on the merit of the hand.
Yes.
But in a pot limit game, you've come in with a hand that's maybe got value, but you don't want to face, as you say, that big overbet. Yeah,
that's right.
I see your logic.
Well, in the pot limit as well, I was playing against people who very much were playing a lurking waiting game, trying to play with capture big hands and get in there. So, okay, some of the time they would be again catch me. Okay, well done. Some of the times I get lucky and outdraw them, so you idiot. But the rest of the time, but I am pressing, I've got a brake pedal as well as an accelerator. Except when I've got the hand, then there's no brake pedal. Now they just think I'm still whacking again. So basically I'd be winning big pots, but losing smaller pots.
Which is the way you want to be playing.
Well, yes, it's good.
There you go. Whack it until you've achieved your objective. Let's get back to our poker very quickly indeed.
Oh dear.
Good. Bottom pair saves the commentator. And it's Denis. Denis Devil is in second place to Gutater. But the 10 is on both of their minds now. The 10 to make that middle pin for that straight. Neither's got it. And interesting situation here because both have got hands that could credibly be winning, but both also are in a position to represent a 10 and bluff it. And of course, that does present a choice to you. You don't want to be putting in a bluff when some of the time your opponent would have had a worse hand anyway.
Oh, look at this. Flat call from the Queens. Oh no, which is a visit to the game. Oh, sorry. He just joined the game, so had to post a big blind. Now has raised it up to 16.
Great. Looks like a nutter. No one believes him. This is brilliant for
Yeah,
NG.
first hand in the game, he's raised it up. Who's this? Some Swede.
It's probably James Brown. No,
Well,
he's on
that guy from the short-handed pot limit from Whitley Bay, that's him. Seen him before, he bets the first time he comes in the game.
Look at this. This has worked a treat, and it's all because they just don't believe that he's got
Worked
the
a treat
queens.
for Rangers.
Oh,
Trip 8.
Rangers is in great shape.
Oops.
Oh dear, no way out of it. He's playing off the idea that they don't understand he's got a big hand.
Oh, 2 pair for Dennis there as well. Goodness me, what customers he's got. Oh no! Oh my goodness, the
Queen!
10-3.
Queen!
Oh my goodness, poor old Rangers there. He'd got 2 customers there to dream of. Pair of queens and a 10-3, and the 10 comes to give Dennis the better full house. 3 10s and 2 3s as opposed to 3 8s and 2 10s. Oh my goodness me.
Oh, it's a 4 out. I've seen worse. Same as a gut shot. I would have liked to have seen a queen though for a draw over draw, house over house over house rather.
Oh right, yes, to see everyone in tears.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
All busy typing in the chat box as fast as they can.
Oh well.
Only for reasons of animal behaviour, Tom wanted to see that, of course.
Yep. So Whitley Bay, I think I've been there.
Right.
I get them mixed up, those seaside resorts in the
Right, it's
northeast.
got miles and miles of golden sand.
I went to a pub called the Ginger Giraffe. Is
You must
in
have
Whitley
felt at
Bay?
home there, did you, Tom?
I don't know what you're talking about,
Sorry.
James. Anyway, I went to a pub called the Ginger Giraffe and had cocktails.
Wow, it sounds too posh.
Well, it was rum and coke, really. But
No, the name, the Ginger Giraffe. That sounds like Jesmond or somewhere.
no, it was somewhere bay. Is there another bay up there?
Whitby?
Maybe it's Whitby Bay.
I wonder if they call it Whitby Bay. People confuse it. No, it's Whitley Bay. It says miles and miles of golden sand. It's near Tynemouth, and it's near the big city is Newcastle.
I saw the Bay City Rollers there.
Right? Whitley Bay definitely had concerts. Used to have concerts for sure.
That was probably it then.
That's the one with the scarf on, isn't it? They used to have the scarves.
The tartan, yeah.
The tartan scarf.
Bye bye baby, baby bye
Oh,
bye.
bye, bye.
That's it. Yeah, we won't sing
Yeah,
it.
no, we won't sing it. The lyrics, you could repeat the lyrics. I'm sure they're memorable. Bye bye baby, bye bye or something, was it?
Baby bye bye. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the great lyrical moments. But
Number 1 in charts.
was it?
Oh yes. definitely.
Oh, there you go. So I don't know. I had a good time. Yeah.
I'll tell you where you would like to go.
Where?
You'd like to go to Newcastle
Why?
on a Tuesday night.
Why is that?
Texas Hold'em,
Really?
no registration fee.
Wow.
£1,000 added.
Well, that is quality. What? Where? Newcastle.
Yes.
Where's Newcastle again?
You can get you book early on the trains. You could possibly get a ticket up to Newcastle for a tenner.
Wow. And no registration fee on that either.
No.
That's fantastic.
No registration fee, £1,000 added, and buffet.
And a buffet.
Yes.
Do I get a back rub chucked in?
You're not joking, they've got a massage place in the casino. I'm not joking. You can get massages in the casino.
Really?
I promise you.
It's not you doing it, is it?
It's not me doing it. There's some gorgeous girls giving the massages in the casino. And the casino is like futuristic. You go in this casino, never mind you don't think you're in Newcastle, you don't think you're in England. It's like another land.
Are you working for the Newcastle Tourist Board?
I'm not, but as a poker player, I just think it's an unbelievable offer.
That's amazing.
Seriously, if anyone on a Tuesday night would want to go to, it's a new group which has opened, backed by the late Kerry Packer.
Wow.
It's called Aspers, and it's actually killed the other casinos.
I'm not surprised.
It's knocked them silly because it's taken on their main night and it's just annihilated them. The first night they opened, on their Tuesday night, they got 110 runners on a weekly tournament.
No registration fee.
Yes.
Back rubs.
Yes. Oh no, you got to pay for. Seriously, they have a massage department in the casino. You pay for massages. But yeah, you can get a massage there. Yeah.
As many crab sticks as you can eat. I can't believe it. Why am I wasting my time down in the south?
I can't promise you the crab sticks.
And what do you think the standard of play is like, James? Be honest about your compatriots.
I'll tell you what. Actually, the standard play is pretty good. Actually. The guys in Newcastle, the standard play is pretty good. They play very well, really. But very friendly. I mean, you'd certainly have a great time. But what you have got there as well is a cash game to make you salivate.
Ooh.
Very, very good cash games.
Pot limit hold'em.
Pot limit dealers. Well, yes, there is a pot limit hold'em. No, there's a no limit hold'em they're playing now. They're playing a no limit hold'em table. But there's a pot limit dealer's choice. Hold'em, Omaha, Irish, or 7-card stud.
The classic.
So you could no high-low because they're too slow. We don't want slowness. We want to get the game moving in Newcastle. We want action. What do you think?
I think it's great.
Have I sold it to you? Are you tempted?
I'd still rather go to the big market, I think.
The big market on Friday night, yes.
Get myself down the Tuxedo Royale.
Oh, now you know it all now. Tom, you really have been there. You know it all. Were they wearing many clothes, the girls?
It was very tribal the night I was there.
Very tribal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the weather is, it's an experience. And down by the quayside.
Oh, lovely.
Amazing.
But as soon as I open my mouth, they know I'm from the south, they're not interested.
I thought they'd find you novel.
No, they just think I'm
yes,
posh
but
southerner.
but now they've seen you on Poker Night Live, it's all different.
No, they just think
They think they could ask you questions which they've never found the answers to.
They're not interested, James. They're not interested. Unlike Liz.
Not even if you expose your hole cards?
Not even then. Poker, maybe? Can we see some poker? All right, let's talk some more. Now let's see some poker. Here we go. Here we go. Well, it's terrific news about Newcastle poker scene, and I should be nipping up there.
Yes. Well, I'll put you up for the night, so you've got no accommodation problems. How about that?
Lovely.
You should pay the visit, though. You'll enjoy it.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's sometimes easy to forget that there is actually real poker going on all around the British Isles, more than ever before. Of poker in casinos, they're all playing online because the Vic, for example, lost half of its people for the space of about a month. They just, or more than a month.
Yeah.
They were just online, coming in simply to say, "Oh, I won 20,000 on this site last night," and then leaving again. But of course, it did bring in a whole load of new players.
Listen, this transition takes place both ways. People who play bricks and mortar obviously go and try and experiment with playing on the internet. People who started off their poker lives playing on the internet have one aim, is to eventually go and play live.
That's
so
right.
there's transition both ways. So it's not just a one-way migration, is it? So it's that's why it balances out. Got info for you, Tom. I know you like to know what's going on.
What?
Well, we've got 25 players left.
Wow, so they're in the money.
They are in the money now.
I'm certain they're in the money.
Okay, they're in the money
30
again
places
now.
paid.
This is not false hope. You're in the money. Tom's guaranteed. And if you're not in the money, he will make up the money you would have got because he doesn't want you to be disappointed. And
that's $100.
So I hope you've got info right, Tom. I can see you sweating a bit. 4 tables left, and our chip leader is on this table, and it's Sovsmester. I was just trying to get the first letter there. It was hidden a bit by the rail.
Sovsemester.
Oh, that sounds better. Sovsemester. My favourite players is Sov Semester.
He's not a big chip leader, though, is he? Because we've got I can't see what that says. No, Canuck, I think it is.
Carnock.
I don't know.
Oh, no, Canuck, you're right, yes.
But he's not that far behind.
And what about Danny Boy? He's even
there you
closer.
go, yeah.
Danny Boy is just a whisker away.
And he's picked up the Uber hand on the button. Surely a raise, did you? In fact, I raise very happily here.
Well, I think Jam might do something.
Yes, he will, and
Yep.
a wise fold.
And actually, funny enough, I think Jam's bet there probably just about helped him to get it paid, because it was strange because he doesn't have so many chips. He's put in that 4,000. It sort of really represented he had a hand he was quite happy with.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, come on, play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, only 9 left.
Yes.
It's difficult to push him off it.
It does actually make you think, oh, you've got a bit of something here. You're not worried, are you? Because it does look like, go on, call, just play. I'm happy, play. So it's an interesting bet there.
Also, Jack 10 on the button, he may think, well, look, this guy, when he's in this deep, he may have already decided he's going to push on the flop.
Yes,
Whatever.
regardless. Yes.
So I've got no room. I've got to catch Jack or a
Yeah.
10, and even then I might not be
Yeah.
good when I call. So.
And I was also looking at how the big blind was thinking when he saw that bet.
Uh-huh.
You know, he sees it's 4. It's like, oh, that's confidence, isn't it? You know, you're not.
Yeah.
But I liked yours as well. Yes, he's thinking yes, and also you're going to ask me the question on the flop now anyway. So, okay, pass.
Time to go and have a look at a 2-4 cash game. 2-4 cash game. Let's see who's still there.
See if it's filled up. I think it might have done. Yes,
Yes, it is.
That felt Celtic would. I love it when they get this game going, because hasn't historically been a good game on Poker Night Live. I mean, most of the games have been good games, to tell the truth.
And Trev is exactly on 400.
Which is a bad sign.
Well, generally, but it doesn't look like he's done his money and reloaded, because no one's got a big stack there.
That's true, but to have manoeuvred himself back to exactly 400 takes some doing.
Well, you know, a stop clock is right twice a day,
Yes?
James.
Yes, I like it, yes. But yes, it doesn't really follow, does it? Where could the money have gone? Or are we missing someone? Is someone...
Maybe he doubled someone up and they did a runner.
Yeah, that would be it.
But I think he just happens to be on 400.
Oh, hang on. I've
What?
got it. I think he might have gone down a little bit and then topped up to the maximum.
Ah, okay, that's it. Of course that's it, James.
So he could be top of the
leaderboard.
Sorry.
But Rangers has done his money twice and rebought some.
Oh my goodness me.
I'm learning from the poker police.
Well, yeah, well, Rangers haven't been having a good season, so it continues.
I think probably this is not about Rangers. This is about Celtic. Probably the best ever headline pun
All right, I'm waiting. Anticipation.
was in the Sun a while back,
Often is.
and it was a Caledonian Thistle's surprise victory over Celtic, and the headline was "Super Cali go ballistic. Celtic are atrocious."
Oh, that is brilliant. Oh, that is very good. Quite a lot of pressure for you to remember that, actually.
Yeah, I was close to struggling there. I'm glad the camera wasn't on me. I think probably the second best was one about the decline of non-governmental organisations. Nothing to do with poker, this, but just bear with us. Non-governmental organisations in Wales, and the not promising material for a headline writer, but the headline was "Last Quango in Powers."
Oh. Actually, whatever people say about the tabloids, I mean, the Sun headline writers are very, very talented. Very, very sharp. And very well paid.
Look, this is perfect for the big blind. He can represent the deuce, but he's got outs a bundle if he's called by anything apart from top full house. But he's actually only got one out now. And that is the 5 of clubs. Still nice to have outs.
I was annoyed the other day because not annoyed because of that, because when Mr. Cameron's wife was giving birth to his baby.
Why was that a source of annoyance for you, James?
Look, because I missed Question Time because William Hague was in Question Time, and I love watching him work.
Why do you like watching William Hague on
Because he's
Question
so
Time?
witty.
Oh, is he?
He's brilliantly witty. Have you ever seen him on Have I Got News for You?
No, I haven't.
Superb he was. Absolutely hilarious. He's got a real natural wit. But I'd have loved to see them back in Question Time. You know, no pressure, just there as a stand-in. I'm sure he was very, very good. He's a very good speaker.
And so, why did David Cameron's child get in the way of your viewing?
Because no, it didn't. It's just that David Cameron's wife was giving birth to a third child or whatever, so he was there, etc., etc. And William Hague was stand-in for Question Time. You put him in as stand-in for Question Time. I think I was travelling and I missed it. I said I'd just like to. But he reinvented himself on Have I Got News for You, where he very, very funny.
Well, Trev didn't pull a 5 of clubs, so his straight draw and flush draw was in vain up against a Hoos.
Hoos. What's Spree going to do? Just limp in, I think. Yes, he does. Nuthead should be passing in my book. Or at least playing quicker than he is.
Do you think a call from the ace-7 suited has got long-term expectation?
I don't mind it, actually, because he's got position. So, to tell the truth, I'm not fully against. I was actually reading quite an interesting article about just calling, and it actually backed up some of my thoughts that just calling with position is often very good. Because it's because, you know, you get it. If you can capture if you can capture position without increasing the stakes, this is very good.
But it's often said that you should raise in the cut-off or in late-ish position in order to acquire position that you won't get if you just call.
That's right. I said, but if you can capture position just by flat calling,
a tight player behind you,
that's very, very good. Because you know your risk-reward isn't very nice again, and as soon as you've got position, you're in a hand which hasn't been raised. So therefore, if you've called with even a big card, there's chances are you might even be winning here. The chances are also that you might actually be able to take it down with a bet, maybe even after the flop if everyone still doesn't like it.
So I guess the logic is that we all know that position is worth a lot, and so the cheaper you get into a pot, then the more likely you are to have that offset by the cost of getting into the pot, offset by the position that you're keeping.
Yes.
Provided, as you say, you don't encourage people to come in behind you.
That's right.
On the button, so.
Now, if you think that's likely to happen, then of course you could capture position. That's what we're referring to. Say you could capture position by in the cutoff raising and knocking out the button, who might well have made the play himself or come into the pot. So in that case, yeah, you'd be stealing position. The other one was an interesting one, saying that it's not. He thought it was still quite good, calling every now and again just on the button against the blinds, because when you just flat call, that sometimes can represent strength, i.e. someone might be playing a trappy sort of play.
And yet you always forego the opportunity to pick up the blinds, which is the thing that goes through my mind when I'm thinking about calling on the button. I just think, well, I can bet here and take the blinds.
Yes, that's right. Well, I would tend to be doing that. However, if you've got someone there who tends to defend his blind.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Now you can perhaps just call and say, "Go on then. Let's see what you want to do now. Do you want to even try and knock me out here?" So you can actually sort of represent strength by maybe calling, and then a lot of the times it looks like the small blind mightn't even make up the small blind because he says, "What's going on here? I don't quite like this. Why is Dr. Tom just called on the button? What is going on? He wants me in, doesn't he? Oh, I'll pass. I'm not getting involved in this." So that will cross through the mind of the small blind.
Yeah, I mean, it's a specific psychologizing of a situation where you're deviating from what would normally be the sound strategy to raise for specific psychological reasons.
I like to do a bit of specific psychologising, though. It's good for you.
I
think.
don't mind. On a Sunday afternoon with a wife, you know, it's good to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and dog grooming. Maybe a bit of paintballing, but mostly specific psychologising.
I think dog grooming, if you've had a couple of bad beats, the dog grooming's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really brush it hard.
Yeah. Look at this, he's got trips. He's up against... I'm looking at the wrong screen. There's no trips there. But there will be soon. You'll see. I've had a vision of the future, folks.
Have you?
I have a vision. It involves trips against a full house.
Is this the way you've been playing of late? You've been playing with sort of this...
No, I only play with one screen at home. It's a recipe for disaster to put up great winning moments from your previous session on a nearby monitor. 15 minutes to the break.
Right, we've got that magnificent hand, Jack 10 suited there, is limped in.
Shay Given.
Oops, and decided to call. And well, Ace 9's got to be happy about that. Better flop than he could have imagined.
Top pair, top kicker.
Wrong colours, but good enough. Nice one, Knothead. What's Johan going to do? Johan's joined the game. He's been very successful of late, even in the cash games. And look at this, Tom. Pair of deuces made it 16. Which means?
Which means he thinks, well, normally I play it for implied odds, but if I bet here, I might take the blinds. I've misrepresented my hand, and that may have better expectation than playing it for implied odds.
Tragic, it's just limped in with the fours, and Johan, another big pair. A lot bigger than deuces, actually. And he's made it 16, same bet. 4 times the big blind. So I'm sorry, Tragic, you didn't limp in it, you were big blind there. I got that number next to chosen wrong-footed me. I thought I'd been transposed to a 1-2 game. Or something. Something fooled me. Jacks, my goodness, pairs flying around here. Just a call here by Spree.
Wow, he's got position.
And will Given do anything? I don't think so. But Spree should. Pop in a bet, put in about $6 might be nice. Oh, right. Well, don't like that bet, it was too big. Why? Because if it was wrong, if he'd walked into the trips, it's just going to cost him more. He could have found out where he was for less money.
Pair of tens, James.
The pairs are flying around here. 16 to 1 against to make a pair, and there's only 8 players. I seem to be seeing pairs pinging up everywhere. I don't know, is that right? Pair of queens, Tom.
Extraordinary.
Well, it's defying the odds at the moment, isn't it? Definitely. And a customer. Yes, and he certainly kept his customer in there. Little cheeky bet, thought I want to play with my queens. I quite like that. Oh, raise of 4 followed by a bet of 92. There we go. If that doesn't make you dizzy, nothing will.
Yeah, it's a funny bet. Maybe if he's got, it didn't look like he had a reason for it. It looked like he was just having a bit of a laugh. But I mean, the big
could have hit the button with all-in button with his elbow.
Possibly are often used to represent draws when you've got a made hand.
Yes.
But what can his opponent call with? I mean, 9 ace. 9 ace, maybe. But it's difficult.
Don't know. Yes, it's a peculiar bet. I think unless he just said, I want this money now, I'm frightened. I don't know.
Maybe he's
well, hang on, look at this bet now. 24 with 5 jack.
He's a nah.
$342. Well, hey, let's get a good bit of betting pattern here. Oh, kings. Well, I'm probably. Oh, I got $8 with the kings, I reckon. Oh no, Tom. Am I psychic? I am psychic, yeah?
You've just discovered your psychic abilities.
Well, from this guy who's been betting all random numbers, I said at $8, and bang, in it goes. Wow. Have I got a read on him?
If you want your fortune told, come and see Madame Browning in his Romany caravan. Cross his palm with a pony. And he'll tell you what you'll bet next time you've got a random hand.
You did look surprised when that 8 pinged up, Tom.
Amazing. How do you do it? Well, he's got out of it, and he's took some chips off Johan Haren.
And that takes some doing generally, but the flop helped him. Johan hit his pair with a king kicker. But Johan, of course, didn't realise that King-Queen only rules in the land of the unraised pot. Ignored that and lost his money.
You should always respect the wisdom of the ancients. Written in Latin somewhere in James's computer. I'm not saying James is an ancient. Of course not.
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying, Tom.
Not at all. Middle pair for Johan Haren. Up against the small blinds. 48 in the pot. There's the raise. And Johan Haren is hoping he won't be raised here. I'm sure he's hoping he won't be raised because he knows he can't stand a call there. Great stuff. Well, emails or multi-table?
Your choice, Tom.
Multi-table it is. So let's
Okay.
have a look at the multi-table.
We've got to keep up to date with that.
600, 1200 the blinds now. And Sov Semester, no longer our chip leader. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Chap in seat 2 is chip leader.
Oh, you mean James Grimoch?
I suppose I do.
Well, we're down to 20 players now, Dr. Tom, which is spread out over 3 tables. And our small stack, who isn't on this table, is only got 350, poor chap. And our chip leader is before our very eyes, the name you don't want to read. James Grimoch, our chip leader with 57k. James, it could be I love, so a shortened sort of a text version of I love, couldn't it? James.
J'aime.
Grimoch. The names actually, I think, on the internet are becoming more and more bizarre.
Well, all the normal ones are getting used up, aren't they? Once you've got
is that why you have to call
likes to
yourself
bluff
Spur Burglar?
4,574, you become Spurg Burglar, yeah. Which sounds absolutely obscene.
Yeah, I'm Spurg Burglar. It's amazing. I wonder if he's surprised that there's no numbers after his name. What, am I the only one?
He must have been amazed at his
How
good
can I be the only
fortune.
Spurg Burglar? That's amazing. Why didn't no one else choose that one? Bit of poker logic here. Better raise. See, now I think he's probably a good player.
Better raise?
Better raise.
Why do you think that, James?
Well, it's, better raise than call, he's sort of saying. He knows the principles of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when he thinks about poker, he can only think about the sound principles of the game, and it came out when he chose his name.
So if I had a name that was aces are good,
Yes.
would you assume I'm a great player? Because that is also truth.
Well, it is truth, but this is probably a fact which probably maybe one or two other people have worked out. So this probably doesn't put you to Einstein levels of poker.
No.
But still, it's on the right track. Because Einstein would agree with that as well. Aces is good, he'd probably say. Because he'd be sort of into street language now. Being so bright.
Danny boy, under the gun, whacks in a 3 times the big blind raise.
More whacking going on.
And what is Spurg Burglar going to do with his 8s?
You like that name now, I can tell.
I have to. There's nothing I can do. James is on the table. I've got to cover his play.
Yes, definitely. It would be unfair not to. You
And
can't be namist.
And the Spurg would be easier for him to get away with if an ace comes down. It's the king he does get away from it. Yeah, no, I'm not namist.
No, don't be namist. You're on nickname terms. I'm Spurg now. It's your pal Spurg.
No, he's not my pal Spurg. He's Spurg Burglar.
Okay, back to his full title. Blinds are 600, 1200. This is really getting chunky. We've had the raise from James to 3,600. It's enough, and that's a very nice return, isn't it? 1,800 points there. Takes him back to 57,000.
Yum, yum. We'll never know what he does with the big slick there, because we've got an email from Monkey Dog.
Oh.
who says, "Hi guys, great show as usual. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to all you on the Poker Night Live team. My game has improved at least tenfold since I've been watching the show. Special thanks to you, James Browning.
Oh my goodness.
Whose advice is always honest, straightforward, and easy to understand. You truly are a gift from the poker gods." Wow, an angel from above.
Wow. My night, isn't it? I'm getting a few.
He says, only joking. No, I finished 19 out of 265, says Monkey Dog, in a $5 multi-table tournament tonight, and it's mostly down to your sound advice. You are my Kenny Rogers, because now I know when to hold them and when to fold them. You see, I always thought that was Johnny Cash. Was it Kenny Rogers?
Yeah, Kenny Rogers.
Oh, right. Wishing you much health and wealth in the future. P.S. How are things going with Flirty Liz?
Uh-oh.
We've got an email here from Ewan. I think it's Ewan. Ewan, if you're not Ewan, then I'm sorry, I'm a Sassenach who can't pronounce your name. E-I-O-N. I think it's Ewan McHenry from Northern Ireland. Hello lads, I've been playing for 6 months in pubs, poker I assume, and home games, and always get heads up, but can never finish the game off. Wow. I'm 18 and still making a good profit from seconds, but I want to get the big money. Any advice on heads-up play would be much appreciated. Great show. What do you do if you're an 18-year-old lad in a pub and you got to the heads-up stage and you can't finish it off?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you've been having a bad spell of not being able to finish it off quite a few times, then I would actually revert to actually just saying, in context with what we said about the guy with the queens early on, the inexperienced in the World Series, I would actually revert to being just very aggressive. Because if you then actually turn it into a bit of a crapshoot, well, then you are going to win this still quite a lot of the time anyway. So I would actually err on the side of aggression now. Ask the questions, because if you keep on asking the questions, you're giving your opponent the chance to make the mistakes. And also, it stops them asking you the question where you might make the mistake. So go for more aggression. If things haven't been working out, try that approach and see if you can click up a few firsts.
So if things haven't been working out, you're having trouble finishing it off, you should be more aggressive.
Yes, because if being more aggressive is very rarely going to be very wrong, because aggression heads up can't be that wrong. Yes, and I think if it's not been working whatever way he's been playing, then I think that would be the way to do it. If, however, you are an absolute monster and that's the way you have been playing, well then try the other way, try something else and try and be a bit more selective. But I think generally people aren't aggressive enough when they get to the end because they're sort of a little bit tentative. They want to win so much and caution tends to creep in. So when you see your opportunity, obviously with some logic there, then err on the side of aggression, and I think that will get you past the winning post.
Best of luck, and we've got an email here from John the Brick, who says, "Hi, I've been playing now for about 3 months, but I've never worked out why it's called Texas Hold'em. Can you help? Can you help, James?"
Can you help, Tom?
Well, I assume it's because you've got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, and because it was
Who
a
said
game.
that?
It was Johnny Rogers or Kenny Cash, can't remember.
Yeah, one of them. Bay City.
I don't know.
Yeah, whoever it was.
Boyzone. I can't remember. But basically, it did. I'm fairly sure it did originate in Texas or in the South and came up.
Yes,
to,
definitely. Definitely Texas it came from.
So is this why it's called Texas? Because, I mean, you've got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Texas Hold'em. And it's got cowboy area, isn't it? Hold'em.
Really? I mean, that's true of all sorts of hands. That's true of draw poker. That's true of stud. You know, you've got to know when to hold them, when to fold them.
You've got playing patience. You've got to know when to hold them, when to fold.
So we don't know the answer.
Why is it called Texas Hold'em? It's a good question.
We don't know. We're going to think about it over the break, because we've got to go to a break now. But if anyone thinks to say no, then let us know. We're going to take that break now.
Help us.
But don't go away. We're going right through till 2 o'clock, so we'll see you soon for much more Poker Night Live. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. We've got a fascinating email here from Paula. So I'm going to read it out. She says, first of all, she's from Eastbourne. She says, hello, Tom and James. Nice to see you again, and I love your show.
Jolly good.
Thank you. However, I packed up poker after losing a lot, doing a lot of sums, and running a lot of programs which I devised. So she's a keen woman, and she's still watching Poker Night Live, even though she's packed up poker. I had not done very well, but my luck, mathematical variation, that's what she says, not me, was not holding up. I think you'd be better off with a pen and a newspaper opened at the horse racing page. At low stakes, it seems extremely long hours and hard work for little reward. At high stakes, it seems an enormous risk when compared to sensible investments. Anyway, what do you think of what she says so far?
No, I don't agree with her so far. Definitely, better off with a pen and newspaper. No, that's definitely incorrect. The people I know who have really studied the game, certainly, have a good control of their destiny playing poker. So I'm interested to hear what she says. I mean, I think there's obviously been a flaw in her game, and she hasn't been able to work out what it was. But listen, it's a game which is a mixture of luck and skill. I think it's probably about 70% luck and 30% skill. That 30% skill is very significant, and in the long run, if you are a good player, nothing is surer than that you will end up a winner.
Second half of her message is this. Anyway, I'd like your opinion on what is going on when you see the same name on no less than 8 tables at the same time, over and above what is always going on. Oh, and he is winning at all of them. Beginners tables, low stakes hold'em. This guy cannot be playing them solo, and I think something is, inverted commas, going on, close inverted commas. What do you think? And if poker is a great money spinner, why are you presenting instead? I'm glad you do, though, and you are good to watch. All the best. And that's it. So I think she's alluding here to the possibility that someone might be using a bot, I think. Seems to be the illusion there.
Well, possibly, but what you have to be aware of is that there's people who are capable of multi-tabling. I mean, certain people I know, there's a very good player from Newcastle area, Lucky Lou. You'll have heard of Lucky Lou. Very successful on the internet. He's won the major tournaments on the internet. He's won in Amsterdam 3 years in a row, big tournaments. He plays 8 tables at once. He could be the same name 8 times, Lucky Lou, playing 8 tables. He plays 8 tables at once. I'm multi-table. I play 4 tables, but I have played 6 before. Hard work, but I have done it. But I play 4 tables regularly, so you'll see my name 4 times. So 8 could be really quite innocent.
And finally, if poker is a great money spinner, why are we presenting instead? Why are we presenting, James?
Because as well as Poker Night Live being a great programme to watch, and hopefully good fun and educational to watch, it's also great fun to commentate and present on it. And actually we learn while we're commentating as well, so what a bargain that is.
Yeah, you do go officially mental if you play too much poker, so there's no better thing to do than to come into a studio and talk about it instead. I'll
tell you what, we're very lucky because at Poker Night Live, it's maybe one of the reasons that we got the award, but the whole crew, from the backroom boys to the runners to the presenters and commentators, it's the most amazing band that I could have ever believed to be with, because everyone's great.
I think I'm going to cry.
Well, it's good. I can't believe what a great... And we got a new person backroom just 2 weeks ago, and I thought we must get someone horrible soon. No, he was good as well.
We've got great backroom boys out there. Fantastic.
Sounds like a band.
Yes, it does. Thanks for that, Paula. I'm sorry to hear that it's been bad for you. I'm delighted to know that you're still watching the show. If you fancy going back to poker, then of course drop us a line and let us know how you're getting on. But until that time, we are going to go down to our poker game and see how they're getting on. I'll
tell you what, with Paula, I don't want Paula to give up, because I can tell from it's a great email she's written. She's obviously, I'd be betting money that she's bright, and she's a clever lady. I just think you've just lost your way somewhere along the way, and I think you've started to worry about side issues more than worrying about your own game. Mm-hmm. And I don't despair. I think you too can still become a winner, Paula. And in fact, I don't want you to lose loads of money, but go back to basics. Go back to a lower level, which isn't going to hurt you, which you can classify as entertainment, even if it still doesn't work. But I don't despair. I think you can still turn into a winning player. And then you'll look back on this one time and say, wow, why was I bothered about these side issues when I should have just been concentrating on my game?
And I think you should go into motivational speaking, James.
Oh, really?
I think that could be the third line for you.
Did you like that one?
I did. I felt motivated myself to go round to Paula's house and say, turn on a computer and say, there you go, your destiny awaits you.
There we go. If that doesn't encourage you, Paula, nothing will.
What, some weirdo turning up, bursting in and turning a monitor on? Well, we're back on Planet Multi-Table here. Multi-Table tourney, 1,000, 2,000.
I've got news for you, Tom.
Have you? What is it?
We're down to, unlucky for some, 13. So that means on the other table we've obviously got 7 because we've got 6 on this one. And number 5 seat, Heniak, is our chip leader in the whole tournament at the moment.
Mm.
And we've got the small stack, which is, it looks like the Kai kid has only got about 10,000. And he's on the small blind. He's actually got 11,000 if you had that blind there, because the blinds are 1,000, 2,000.
I was thinking about that there, James. You're saying 13 is unlucky for some. Maybe multi-table should always have a sort of discontinuity between 13 and 12, just to...
Oh yes, get rid of it.
No, I'm saying when this... Yeah, that's right, it's dangerous, isn't it? It's like Chinese hotels. They don't have room numbers with bad, unlucky numbers.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they can't flog them.
Luckily, we don't know what the numbers are, so we can stay there quite happily.
That's right. Get a bargain.
Because 13, I think, is a lucky number in Chinese.
Is it?
Mm.
That's right, it is, yeah. It's 640 or something, which is it's dodgy.
Yeah.
That's a cheap one, anyway. But
also, you're very high up.
They should
hotel.
Have a discontinuity where it's a lot more for 12th than 13th. Yeah, that's what they should do.
All right.
That's my innovative idea for tonight.
Yep.
That lets me off the hook for the rest of the night.
And if you want that email to you... Well, this is getting exciting now, Tom.
It is.
We're at 1,000, 2,000, and they're desperate to get to that final table of 8 players.
Yes, they are. They're in the money, happily. They're in the money, but it's all about the final table.
Have you got any idea? How much was 13th going to get? We better find that out because you've been sort of relating to this.
Well, 11th to 20th all get paid the same, which is $26.73.
Right. And so that our increase will happen on 10th, I presume.
Yeah, and then it starts going up from there. So they're in a flat part of the prize distribution, and whenever you're in this situation where there's no difference between getting knocked out now or not getting knocked out in 2 places' time or 3 places, you should be looking to accumulate chips and be prepared to take chances. Obviously, you want to be going into the pot with an expected advantage, but you don't mind if it's a relatively small one.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I'll tell you what, there's a slight warning I'll put across here.
Do that.
And that is, I have noticed too many times when you have these flat payout sections, which Tom is relating to, say it can be like 10th to 11th to 20th, or then it can be 21 to 30. When people then just get into this next section, We know that they can accumulate chips because the prize money, there's no difference. But sometimes I find that they just sort of go potty and just tend to push their chips in with nothing. Something happens, they think, oh, it doesn't matter now. Don't think it doesn't matter, because your decisions still matter. It just means that you can be looking for moves because you're not going to be affecting your monetary position. But I think people overreact sometimes. It's just the minute that next section comes off, it's like a bell rings and they all sort of whack money in. I'll tell you why I notice it. When I've been playing on a tournament on the internet, I can suddenly see when we hit this level, you suddenly look and ping, people start falling like flies when you get to this next flat level.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, it can't be that they've all got a hand this very first hand after the levels have changed. Surely people here are being a bit indiscriminate.
So they're forgetting that they still need to make a decision that's got expectation.
Exactly, and I think that gets clouded. They've just remembered one thing, and they've focused on one thing, rather than focusing on the whole picture.
It's extraordinary how, in my opinion, how many mistakes are made in tournaments by people thinking that a tournament strategy has got precedence over what is sound poker play.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point, Tom. And that eludes people. They get side issues. Listen, all issues are important, and if you're going to be a brilliant player, you will absorb all these different side issues and put it all into the melting pot. But what Dr. Tom says is very important. At the end of the day, get back to the basics. This is a poker hand you're playing. What are its chances? Should you be playing it? Etc., etc. That is the nitty-gritty of the tournament, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, yep, people get distracted. And we mustn't do that.
Well, we're going to check out the end of this hand here and then take ourselves over to 2-4 games. So let's have a blinder here. Not looking too promising.
Well, James has got a pair of fours, which we can see is out in front. And he seems to know it himself.
That's an interesting bet, isn't it? He decides that no one could have been trap checking with a king for some reason. Obviously read it right, because as you say there, James, he was indeed in the lead.
No, I think there's probably a little bit of thought is there, because possibly when you're down to 13, probably people tend to play a bit more straight-laced.
He's playing his own chip stack then, yeah,
yes.
Sure.
And he doesn't think they're going to be trap checking at this stage. He thinks they're probably just going to bet with their king and say, come on, give it to me. I want to get to that final as well. Maybe he's sort of reading that situation.
So this is a case where he, with the fours, knows what they think he will do.
Yes.
And he reads their hand on that basis.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's have a look at that cash cannon.
How many? Full table, do you reckon?
I don't know. I'm not psychic like you, James.
Been decimated. But look at Spree. He's on a spree. $935.36.
Maybe that's why it's been decimated.
Yes. Spree the Decimator. And nice hand for the Chosen on the button, pair of tens.
What's he going to do with it?
Think. And eventually put in a raise, I presume.
Yeah, a raise for value is wise there.
He's popped in 14. Personally, I'd have popped in 12. Because I'd quite like the big blinders to have a little fight with me. Because I would have had position on him. And that was relating to what I said before. If I've got a pair like that and I can increase the pot and have position, then I'm happy. Because I've now got different ways I can win the hand. And also have more chance of knowing where I am. Well, we're down to heads up now. This is interesting. 2-4 heads up. We'll see. I don't mind watching this a little bit just to see how they play. Tragic Trev on the small blind. Is he going to make it up?
Now I call here, unless I think my opponent's going to raise me if I call, and if that's the case, I either raise or fold.
And I
Probably
agree with you.
fold.
If I can get away with it, I love just to make it up there. That's fine, because I might hit a funny flop and win a big pot.
Mm.
So there's some good implied value by having a peep at that flop. Also, you don't have to hit it so big because you can win that. Obviously, just heads up. If you've hit a pair, you've a good chance that you're winning. Well, what's going on here? Tragic is making a sort of a move with second pair.
I think he's going to correctly check here. That 8 of diamonds. Ooh, oh, how wrong I am.
And he's made 30 into a pot of 40. And look at that.
Well, if he knew he was bluffing, then it was a great move. But I don't know that he. Well, I don't know if I'd try and bluff someone if I knew they had top pair.
The Chosen, better size bet this time, put in 12. He still didn't get paid, but it doesn't matter. More chance that he could have had a contest. So I quite like that bet with the kings there. I don't want to win the blinds with the kings. I want to play. Let's play poker, I say, when I've got my big pairs. You have your Jack 10 and I'll have my pair of kings.
But isn't that a bit of a tell, James? If every time you've got a big pair you say, let's play poker, aren't they going to work out you're holding a big pair?
Yes, I say it when I've got 6-5 offsuit as well, though, so it's confusing.
Okay, fine. They're coming back.
I see.
Have you met someone with a tell like that?
Yeah.
Not in this Newcastle game, is it?
No, this is in France. Oh, this was so funny. I'm just remembering this. It was just so funny. He was such a character, this guy. He was a beautiful character. I'd love you just to meet him because you just watch him. He should be on a TV program himself. He's playing in the game. He's an elderly gentleman, and
This is the aviation club?
yeah, in the aviation club. And he's smoked a cigar.
I think I've seen this guy. Tell me about it.
And he's glasses, but very funny, but nice and very polite. And he puts the guy's bet, and he's put a little raise in, and he suddenly goes, "Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me." I'm watching this, the first time I've seen it. Happy birthday. And eventually the guy calls him, whatever. Anyway, it turns over, the card gets turned over, and he wins the hand. And I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. He was singing happy birthday to me, and he got paid. Anyway, a few hands later on, he puts a bet in. He said, he goes, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is too much. Sure enough, blah, 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 the thing happens, and he wins the pot again.
He gets called?
Yeah, he gets called again, and he's got the bits, he's got the nuts or whatever, and he's singing happy birthday to me. I'm thinking, but this car, he knows what he's doing. So I'm thinking, surely he's going to be singing happy birthday when he hasn't got the hand, sooner or later. And it did happen. A little bit later on, he was singing his happy birthday to me. But he did it in French as well. I can't do the French bit, I'm afraid. And and I think one time he was actually trying to commit a bit of a steal when he was singing to himself. But it was hilarious. It was just at the time, I thought, this is so fun to watch. So what do you reckon, Tom?
No, it's a different guy from the guy I'm
Oh, you're
thinking
trying
about,
to place him? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Such a character.
This guy...
He's a regular.
I was thinking of, he came in and he didn't say a word for about 3 hours, and he bet once in about every half an hour. He didn't get involved in a pot. He didn't move. I think he was a knackered businessman, and he was completely immobile, just with this cigar that slowly accumulated ash. And then there was a huge pot developed. It was a high-low game, and he was one off the nuts in both directions in the end. And the first thing I heard say all night was when he lost all his money, having waited for hours, and he just looked at the board and looked at his hand and said, "Merde." And the ash dropped off the end of his cigar.
Or dramatically showering the table in grey.
And that is the glamour of poker, folks.
But I've seen it. I've been to the aviation quite a few times, and I've seen him there quite a few. He's a lovely character. He's just sort of smiling, but he's just a very interesting character. I don't know if he does his singing thing all the time, but that night I was just, what am I watching here? This is so funny. But the first couple of times he did it, he got paid big bets as well. As much as he was singing, in the end, I think they just had to. They were desperate to see it. They wondered what he was so happy about.
I'd have let him get on with it, James.
It was so good. The first time he had the absolute nuts singing "Happy Birthday to Me." Very funny.
Look, we've got an email here from Robert in Glasgow saying Hold'em was invented in 1969 by a Reno pit boss for visiting Texas gamblers, hence Texas Hold'em. Yeah, but why the Hold'em?
Yeah, come on, Robert. You're smart.
It would be called Texas Tourist. Or
Yeah, or Texas Reno or something. You could pop that in, couldn't you? Get in the...
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it isn't. It's called Texas Hold'em.
Or Texas Pit Boss. You could have called it that. You could have been known forevermore. Hey, you playing Pit Boss? Or Omaha? In 1969.
But I thought Malcolm Arbour was playing before then. Maybe it wasn't. I remember him saying
1909 he was
he
playing.
played. Malcolm
Actually,
might be one-
actually, I'm on with Malcolm. I better not be saying that.
But he thinks he played the first game of Texas in Britain. And there's no one to disprove it, so...
No one alive to
With
say anything about it.
With Michael Arnold.
I believe that Texas Hold'em was brought to Britain by the Irish.
Ah, why did
That is what I believe, and it definitely, I'm sure that's the case. And it came from... In the back of my mind, it's there, and I'm not going to get the name. I might dig it out, but it definitely was brought to Britain by the Irish, that is for sure.
From America, obviously.
Yes, and I'm sure that Liam Flood was somewhere around there. He wasn't the one who brought it. There was another Irish guy who brought it across, and they brought this game across. That's for sure. And I think that's quite a long time ago.
You make it sound like bird flu.
It's much more fun than bird flu.
Bird flu's no fun at all.
No, especially if you're a bird.
No.
No, and what? Some big birds got it the other day.
Big Bird's got bird flu?
Yeah.
No.
No, big ones. Yeah. What? Some nice
Big
ones.
Bird from Sesame Street?
No, not him. No, don't worry about. No, not him.
Yeah,
You
be
were
worried,
worried. Yeah.
James.
No, it was some. Goodness, it was something like herons or some really big birds suddenly caught bird flu
Wow.
rather than the little diddy ones.
Just imagine.
Bad sign, actually. Bad sign. If the bigger birds catch it.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently. Well, you should probably know.
I don't know anything about bird flu, James. I'm afraid.
As long as the monkeys don't get it, that's all we're bothered about, Tom, isn't it?
I only know about bloke flu.
No, the monkeys, you don't want the monkeys to catch it.
Well, the monkeys have to look after themselves these days, James. We better talk about poker for a bit. So you do that. Look, Trev's got nines.
Ninas.
He's up against two undercards. I can hardly believe it.
How sweet life is, he thinks. Oh, got the blinds. He says, that's not going to get me out of trouble. The Chosen, not there. Trev, not there. Spree, loads of money. Is he going to have a random call? It'll be costly because he's going to be raised. He avoids the raise and passes. So we've got a four-handed here. This so we'll just see the pattern of the game. Got a baby raise on the button. Top pair for the Chosen, who's checked it. Is he checking, looking to re-raise? That's the question. There's a continuation bet from Spree. What's the Chosen going to do? Does he know he's winning?
Well, does he call representing a draw? No.
No, he believed, he checked to raise him, as we thought he would. And I think short-handed, that's fine, because it's less likely that someone has got the queen as well when there's only 5 players there. Because basically there's only 4 players, rather. There's only 3 other hands out there. So if you just imagine you were sat at home there with your queen 8, and there's a queen on the flop, well, just imagine dealing 3 hands out, And how likely is it to see another queen there? Not too likely. So therefore, he actually felt that himself, and he actually trap checked. So he checked, knowing that there was a good chance that the pre-flop raiser would put in a continuity bet, and then he was going to be prepared to raise that continuity bet, which he did.
And do you think there's more expectation in leading out, given that some of the time that you try to trap check, your opponent fails to raise, or fails to bet, and in fact makes his draw on the turn?
I know I liked his play there. I think if he bets out, I don't think he gets paid anything. And I think he just decided that he'd called with a slightly substandard hand, that he definitely wants to make some money once he's connected with it. Also, it bodes well for the future, because now he's actually shown his opponent that he's capable of trap checking, which means in the future, if his opponent tries a little raise like he did, he can feel free to call this the game, because his opponent's now going to be wary of him, because a check from him isn't necessarily a sign of weakness. It might be a sign that that little monkey is trying to trap check me again, and it might worry the initial raiser, and he mightn't want to put his continuity bet in.
Cheeky monkey.
Cheeky monkey. Way, man.
I think what you're saying is absolutely right, James. It's pointless to, I mean, the question I asked you was for academic reasons, really. It's pointless to worry about which has the better expectation, leading out or check raising, because you really must do both. You must, for the reasons of the integrity of your game and people not being able to read you, you must mix it up.
And that's with all our plays, Tom, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've said before...
most of them. There are a few that I'd probably always do.
Okay, well, rarely do I criticise your plays, but one, I would say I think virtually everything you should at times vary, especially if you're in a regular game. If you're moving tables, then fair enough, you could perhaps get through life or never doing a different play with a certain hand. But if you're in a regular game, then I think all your plays should be varied. You have to show people that you can do different things. So therefore, say when you've got aces, I think I want to raise with them, but still, I'll probably be raising with them 80% plus of the time. But there'll be times when I won't raise with them. I will every now and again flat call with them.
This is an interesting idea, and it's certainly true that in poker you've got to mix it up. But I think, let's just have a look at this a bit, because it's important to remember why you're mixing it up. And it's to give your opponents less chance to exploit you. But this is basically perhaps a slightly pedantic point to make, but if you've got do7 under the gun, I don't think it's wrong to always make the same play with that.
What, pass it?
Pass it.
Okay, I'm not arguing with that.
Okay, so this encourages us to see poker as a game where you vary your play for specific reasons. Another example, which is a bit more debatable, but is if you always raise with aces under the gun, when you've got them under the gun, some people will say we should always mix it up. But I don't think that's necessarily the case, provided you raise under the gun with lots of other hands as well. And in fact, you could even go as far as to say someone only plays aces, kings, queens, and ace-king. Now, ace-king and queens are very, very different hands. So even if they are only playing those hands, your opponent is still in some degree of uncertainty about what you've got. Of course, that would not be a sensible way to play poker. But my point here is that it's not each specific hand that you need to mix up. You need to be sure that any play you make in any position is possibly constitutes any one of a number of hands. And that is where you're trying to create the uncertainty.
Right. My point would be, though, is with the specific hand, if you always raised aces, for example, 100% of the time, now if you're in a pot with me, and you didn't raise, I know you haven't got aces.
Okay.
So you're now giving me information because you played one way 100% of the time. So in another situation, I've got information which you've given me.
You're absolutely right. And what it comes down to then in terms of expectation is whether the information you've acquired there gives you more advantage than the advantage that I get by playing aces the correct way. I mean, broadly speaking, there's going to be a correct way to play aces, and normally it will be to raise, and in lots of situations it will be that is always the correct play. So when each time I don't play the aces, I lose some equity in that sense, but I might gain it by increasing the overall uncertainty you have about my play.
So how
generally.
nice is it if I'm in that pot now and I've got the middle trips and there's an ace on the flop and you like the flop, I'll say, well, I know you haven't got trips.
Sure. I mean, you can take a very specific situation like that,
Yes.
and then there's your payoff.
Yes, and that's a big payoff because I can now be, although you like it and you seem to be really happy with it, you might have got 2 pair. I'll think, hey, I'm not worried, pal, because you'd have raised with your aces, you always do.
It's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. Yeah. And of course, it depends on how much people are paying attention to your play in the first place. But when every time you misrepresent your hand, you make a non-optimal play by misrepresenting your hand. You throw away some equity that you're hoping to gain.
But it's where we gain equity elsewhere, which we have to look at. Because although we don't have to just get equity on one hand, we have to look because of the implied effect of the play on other hands. For example, the times that you now, if supposing you mainly raise with aces, which I'm sure is the right thing to do, let's say it's one of the times you haven't raised with aces and you hit your ace. Well, you have more chance of getting paid here than you normally would.
But the question is, do you win more? Obviously, you win more there than you would normally. But does that make up for all the lost equity you get from the times that you didn't raise with aces and you should have, and you got your comeuppance because of that? We don't know. It's impossible to say sitting here.
You don't. Yeah, it's difficult to say. But I believe the time when you win a bumper pot, that makes up for a lot of other times. But I'm advocating you mainly raise with aces. So I'm saying that high percentage of the time you raise with them anyway. I'm just saying that it still should not be 100%, and because of the other effect, even as I said, because you're giving information another way.
Because they know you haven't got aces when you don't raise.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any opinions on this subject? If you do, by all means get in touch with us here in the studio. You can text or email us. Text us there 62211, 62211. Or you can email us at pokernightlive.co.uk. Well, let's go back down to the poker and see how they get on at the final table of this multi-table tournament. Here it comes.
There it is, worth waiting for. Oops.
And
this looks like the final.
Yeah, got a chip leader here, and quite a big chip leader, Gully, 129,000.
And very good news for you, because it's very easy to pronounce. One of your James Green Moaches.
Moves out with middle pair.
Right, we'll check out who our low stacks are there. They've got around about 33,000. Oh, no, sorry, 22,000, okay? And the big blind is 4,000. So, yes, he is under a bit of pressure.
Oh, I don't like that. Do you like that, James? I don't like that.
No. I would have been...
He doesn't want to play it three-way.
No, I'd have been pushing if I was playing.
Wow, that's wrong for so many reasons.
Yes, the thing is, he hasn't got enough. He doesn't want to be getting into situations where he has to make judgments with that many chips left. Henfek, well, he's got away from this, but I mean, who knows? He could have won it anyway later.
He missed an opportunity to create a lot of dead money in the pot by pushing the blinds out. He missed an opportunity to find himself heads up with someone he could have been dominating. And he increased his variance by making it a three-way pot at a critical time in the tournament.
But look at this hand for James here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got the straight. Was your straight detector on that time, Tom?
Oh, it's bang on, but I was thinking about the flush already, James. I was ahead of the straight.
Oh, goodness. At this time of the night as well?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
So Heniek, certainly on that occasion, was right to get away from it, but I think I would have liked to push, and so would you, James.
Yes.
In general.
Yeah, I would have done. When I'm at that stack size, I'm not trying to play clever because there's not enough. I haven't got enough chips to. So I'll be asking big questions.
What's the meaning of life?
Like, no, all in.
Tim from Hull, James, says, hi chap, surely it's called Hold'em because unlike draw poker, you hold on to your cards.
I like the logic there.
Uh-huh, yeah, not bad. But I mean, in stud, you sort of hold on to your cards, it's just you don't pick them up.
So draw poker, you hold on to what you keep.
Maybe that's it.
It's the nearest we've got yet, I reckon.
Thanks, Tim in Hull. You're the nearest we've got yet.
Nice technical answer there.
Ace Jack offsuit, and he's not exactly chipped up. Yup, and he has really committed himself here, I think, because can he lay it down against a raise? Not when it could be 9s, 10s, 8s. No worries, no one played back at him, and he'll be delighted to take the pot down. Ace Queen for Gully, the chip leader, and he's going to put in a bet here, or at least I would, in his position, put in a bet that's consistent just with a bullying steal. I'm hoping someone will misread me for having a weaker hand than I have. 16 will do it. And Heniek could be forgiven for making the wrong decision here, because he is indeed exactly the player Gully would be bullying. And if he makes a lay down, which he doesn't, it could either be because he's lily-livered or because he's made a great read. But he doesn't, he calls, and a perfectly understandable call in that situation when he could well be ahead and he's very short stacked. Possibly even there for me, the suitedness is what actually swings it, that 4%, which you're certainly going to need if you're behind.
Well, 3 times the big blind by James, and he's got a big stack. I've been coming up with the theory that the big stack in a table, 2 of them would qualify here, obviously, James and Gully. My theory is that they can actually do a flat raise, and it means just the same as a bigger raise.
You mean a minimum raise?
Yes, minimum raise, say 4 with 4. The reason is that they've got a huge stack of chips, and the person who's calling can see this, and he has to think about all those chips just as much as the size of the raise. Whereas if a smaller stack did it, he hasn't got the same muscle behind him. It's not the same.
But if he's a medium stack facing one of these big stacks, putting a flat raise, he might still say, "Well, I'm getting odds to flop a hand here."
He might do.
If it's a drawing hand.
But I think that they look at this raise and they think of it as just the same as 3 times the big blind, or 4 times the big blind. I think it has the same effect. So.
In terms of intent, but it still remains the case that if you're getting nice odds to pick trips up on the flop, you're going to call.
But in the tournament, when the lower stack's there, he realises he can't afford just to be calling too much because of his chip situation. So the big stack now, if he gets away with this, and he can get away with a lot, means he can actually raise quite regularly. He can get away from a hand costing him very little if he doesn't like the look of the re-raise whacking back at him. And it means that he doesn't get hurt. He's still not put off from keeping on pressuring, popping these raises out.
Well, looking at it from the position, if I put myself in the shoes of someone who's facing this flat raise,
yes.
If I'm a short stack, you're absolutely right, James. I'm going to play back at him based on my cards, regardless of the size of the raise.
So you'll still pass to it.
So I'll pass to the small one. But if I'm a reasonably sort of middling stacked player, I'm going to be looking at the implied odds I'm getting from this bet. So I'm going to call in with hands, and I'm going to correctly call in with hands, provided I've got enough chips to then recoup my investment when I catch.
Right.
So for your big stack player to make this play, and for it to be the right play, is going to require a fairly high density of short stack players yet to act behind him relative to more medium stack players, I feel. Otherwise, he's basically letting people in too cheap.
Okay, as I said, I just think that the fact that he's just basically, at this stage of the tournament though, it's not, he's actually just declaring, it's just like he's declaring what his action is. He's declaring raise. Mm-hmm. It's like no price is needed. You're just saying what you're doing, raise. Oh, he's raising again. I think the players then are just basically considering, have I got a hand which can call a raise? And the price is not so relevant because they see the
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
the implied force behind it. They say, oh goodness, he'll probably call my re-raise. He's got so many chips, he doesn't care. He's a monster. If that is the case, I think it's a good strategy because then, as I said, the big stack can keep on repeating this because the downside is so small if he does walk into a hand. Because he knows that he's capable of passing if he wants to.
But if we take this to its logical conclusion, and say you're the short stack,
Yep.
and you say, well, look, this guy's strategy is clear. He knows that, in principle, I'm going to have to play for my whole stack.
Yep.
So he's going to be putting lots of these bets in. He's putting basically cheap steals.
Yes.
Now, if you're putting in a cheap steal, and it really is a cheap steal, part and parcel of that is that you will lay it down if you're raised.
Yes.
So it still remains the case that the shorter stacks can make the correct decision to raise the
Of course they can, but I just don't think they do.
Right, okay.
And I think that the big stack makes them make mistakes, but only with a small bet. And that's why I think it's a good strategy for them. Because they don't have to have them make many mistakes to make it profitable venture. And as I said, they know that they can put the hand down themselves, but they can repeatedly go to the well with these raises and actually cause the lower stacks a big problem. And if the other players are sort of looking at the prize money as well and trying to climb up the ladder, the last thing they want to do is to get into the fight with these big stacks because they know that they're covered in chips, well covered in chips, and that might be them extinct.
So here you go, folks. If you're listening, which we hope you are, you haven't turned the volume down, just bear in mind that although it looks frightening, these little mini bets from this guy, they are mostly cheap steals. Every now and then there'll be big hands, but hey, there's plenty of risk in poker. So look at this as a way of picking up not only the blinds, but also the little mini raise from the big stack. Shove your chips in. Shove your chips in.
But on the other side, if you are a big stack and you're at a table, it's certainly well worth trying just to do this 4 with 4 bet if you've got a big stack, because you'll find that generally people give it too much respect. But I don't advocate it for the middle stacks because it doesn't have the same, it's not the same effect.
But why doesn't it? Because if you've only got short stacks behind you, I mean, the fact that you're the middle stack, you've still got them covered.
No, because the middle stack can do it, and then one of the big stacks can suddenly say, hey, you're not doing that.
If they're yet to act.
Yes.
Okay.
So he can now use his muscles on you.
But it's okay to do it if you're the middle stack and there's only shorter stacks behind you to
because
act.
he's got you covered, you see. So therefore, So,
but I'm saying, can the middle stack inherit the strategy if there's any short stacks to act behind it?
Yes, that's very good thinking, obviously, and that would be good. Yes, he could inherit out there then, because now he can again. What he's doing is reducing his risk, but still he's probably getting great value. He'll steal more than you imagine. I've just seen a lot of good players, ones I think are clever tournament players, really apply this. I've seen them sort of really control a table once they've got chips with sort of repeated raises. You're saying, this is unbelievable. You know, you can't be having 5 hands around here. What is going on? Bam, they pop it out again. Bam, they pop it out again. And people in the end, they sort of shrug before they pass, but still pass. Next time, don't do it again. If you do this again to my big blind, I'm calling, pass. And they get away with it. Julian Gardner, I've seen him terrorise a table with small raises. Willie Tan, I've seen him do it. Asking questions all the time. And of course, mixed in with there, what they do is, when they've got a big hand, they'll put in that same raises again. So if by chance someone wants to retaliate, they might be lucky enough it's a time when they've got the big hand.
Well, Numero here perhaps would have liked to have been in a later position so that someone would have raised into him, but that wasn't a luxury afforded to him, and it's difficult to grumble when you get out aces wherever you are. and sticking half his chips in does slightly announce aces, but he had limited options there anyway with that
Yes,
size stack.
Under the gun, wasn't he? So just happy to get them. Especially when you've only got as many chips as he had. It was a welcome boost to him. And Josh, 32,000. There's 3 of them there in the low 30s. And Numero's got ace-10, the small blind. Josh has got 7th, 12,000. See, again, I don't play the same as that. I just, with the 7s, I don't want to be guessing. I'll probably just push. See, I don't know where I am now. I think I'm winning, probably, because the pair's probably quite good.
And I pushed there.
I pushed there as well. But I think I'd have probably, with the 7s, with the amount of chips he had, I would have just pushed from the off. Because then I don't have to make any more decisions. It might be on the river, I hit my 7 when I need it, or whatever. But I just push, and also there's more chance that people pass. And the 7s isn't a great hand to be playing poker with, because there's so likely to be overcards. You haven't got enough chips that you can play it as a drawing hand, obviously. So in that case, I would revert to saying, okay, the amount of chips I've got, I need to be doing something. I'll just make an all-in play. And either they'll pass and I'll get 9,000, which would have been significant for him anyway, or my 7s will stand up against his ace-queen or whatever he's called me with. See, I believe all these people in the 30s here, that basically they shouldn't be trying to play poker. They should just be making their decision and committing. They haven't got enough money to be playing too tricky. What do you think?
With 5 big blinds, well, yeah, it's definitely push.
Yeah, definitely push. Tom and I are both pressing the all-in button when we play with those 30 stacks. Then our fate is in the lap of the gods.
Well, aces, very happy there to get a customer.
To Scan Kink. So he's from Scandinavia. From Scandinavia and a fan of the Kinks. I think that's it. I've worked him out. King Queen for Scan Kink. Lazing on a sunny afternoon.
What?
Lazing on a sunny afternoon, the Kinks.
I get that bit, but...
Scan. No, he's a Scandinavian.
So he's a Scandinavian who likes the Kinks?
Yeah, that's what he is. That's how he got his name.
And what about Spurgpegler?
We're still working on him.
Okay.
You got away from that, though. He got away from that. There was a pair of kings for Numero, but Scan Kink didn't lose too much. And he's still chip leader. And it's a flat raise from Numero, and that has been respected. Right, I think we'll see something from Josh here. He's got ace-10, and Tom and I are pressing the button. Josh, you're on the button there, Tommy?
I would definitely blow up the world
Yes.
with that hand.
Oh, there's been a bet before. You still do it? Don't cheat and look what he's got.
I'll let it go, I'll let it go. I'll curse and moan, but I'll let it go. No fold equity. Well, good move.
It's worked out well. He's dominating. He was brave. Jack for a straight. He doesn't want to see a 6. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God, it's a 6.
Oh, cruel, cruel.
Oh, well.
Never mind, we're down to 3. There he is, Josh. He had 4 to a flush. He had him dominated, but no good. The 6 raised his little ugly head on the river.
At least he can go to bed knowing he did the right thing.
He was ahead.
He was ahead. Let's have a look at an email from Paula. It's Paula from Eastbourne's got back to us.
All right.
She says, hello, James and Tom. Thanks for reading my email. What motivation. My destiny, indeed. Well, you're right about me being bright. She says modestly. IQ measured many, many times. Well over 150, apparently.
I could tell.
Favourite subjects, maths, computers, assorted sciences. Hobbies include bridge, chess, backgammon, gaming, war strategies.
Wow.
Now, to your comments about going back to poker.
I'll
Well,
play
I'd love
backgammon.
to. Yeah, be careful with James. After losing at cash games, I thought that when I switched tournaments, I was winning much more than my statistical share. Trouble is, I'd already lost £300, no, pounds, in fact, in low-limit cash games in 3 months. Now I lost another £50 in January and was just about holding level this month with the option of risking and wasting another £50 to £100 if I don't stop it, and my total income is from pension credit. That's because of my severe career setbacks due to my personal choices mentioned above. Wow, there's a lot of subtext there. So, how do I get into winning poker without risking getting into serious financial trouble? I'm not a bad player, as you can imagine, and I think I've got a lot in common with some of you guys when it comes to personality, which is why I started in the first place, on top of loving games anyway. Well, James, you're a fellow backgammon player. She wants to know, how do I get into winning poker without risking getting into serious financial trouble? Surely that's the Holy Grail.
Goodness, I feel an awful lot of pressure.
Because she's only got pension credits, you know, and winter's coming on. In fact, it's almost gone, but don't worry about that.
Is there any heating benefits around the way? No.
I don't think you can pile them to tournament.
No, the weather's going to improve now. I think we can take a risk. Listen, I can tell that you as I said, I could tell you were bright by the way you'd written the email. Just go down to low stakes, really low stakes. Don't be bothered about how much you're winning there at the moment. Just get your game honed to a proper winning strategy. Go to those low stakes and just develop your game. Keep on watching Poker Night Live. Any problems with your game, email in with the questions about the problems in your game. We'll do our best to help you. And I'm very certain with your background that you really can end up a winning player. I'd be surprised if you didn't. You said you were being successful in the tournaments as well, so also go and enter some free rolls while you're building up your bankroll. Go and build up some money there. But go down to low, mini stakes. Just get your game together. What do you reckon?
Just don't blow all the heating, please, because I feel terrible.
Do you think she can do it, Tom?
You can do it, Paula.
There you go.
I can feel it in my bones. We've got to take a break very soon, but we've got just one more highbrow question here from Kev Steele for you, James. Just very quickly, any chance you can do an impression of Sid Waddle, the darts commentator?
Oh, goodness.
Do you do Sid Waddle?
I don't think I do Sid Waddle, no.
Have a think about it during the break.
Yeah, I'll have to, yeah.
And if you don't, just do another one.
Yes.
Do Orville or Abraham Lincoln. I don't know. No, after the break.
Sorry.
But don't go away, because we've got another hour of Poker Night Live for your delectation. So do come back in about 7 minutes for more poker and possibly some impersonations. See you soon. Welcome back to Poker Night Live. Well, as promised, we've got some emails. One here from Damien before we go back to our multi-table. He says, hi Dr. Tom and James, great show as always. Can you please tell me what made Stewie Ungar different from the second best poker player in terms of how his brain was hardwired? Please make reference to any newly emerging research in cognitive psychology, if at all possible. Many thanks. I couldn't say. I mean, how good was Stewie Ungar? Because he's dead, of course, it's much easier for him to be brilliant. Because he doesn't have to play now.
True.
Against, say, you. So we'll never know whether you could whip his sorry ass, James Browning.
That's right, we'll never know, thank goodness.
So, I mean, was he fundamentally different, or was he just very good?
He was just an amazing character, I think, because he was fundamentally flawed in many ways, but he also happened to be incredibly talented and incredibly suited to the game of no limit hold'em, because basically if you'd wanted someone to go and play limit hold'em for you, I don't think Stu Unger would have been your man, because you wouldn't have known what state he'd have been when he was playing, and you don't think he'd have been able to grind it out day after day, because he surely wouldn't have been, because he's a very mercurial character. But no limit hold'em.
The game has changed. Now, would he be such a star in today's game?
I think he would, because this guy was absolutely brilliant. He was actually, the best gin rummy player that the world has ever seen. And for that, you've got to have tremendous card sense, you remember everything, and he obviously was very, very talented. Listen, he could have been a great limit player as well, but I just don't think his actual character would have allowed him to do that. But I think he probably just enjoyed being mercurial, and I think when he was sometimes down, the hungry fighter element came out, and sure enough, he had the talent somehow just to be successful when he was really desperate, and he seemed to continually do that. Whenever he was like in trouble, some way or another, boom, he would bounce back. But unfortunately, as good as he was at bouncing back, he was also good at actually getting rid of what he won, and obviously did unfortunately have a self-destruct button, which is rather sad.
Well, Damien also says, he says, make reference to any newly emerging research in cognitive psychology.
This is for you, Tom.
Well, I will say psychology's got an H in it. But I'll also go on to say that I guess what you're saying here is, did he learn his skills, or can these skills be learned, or was there something different about his brain? Was his brain wired up in some way that made him great at playing cards that we can't get, because we just can't get in there and rewire our brain? And my expectation is that probably it was. I don't know how you feel about this, James.
I feel that. I just think this amazing talent he had at gin rummy was just no fluke. I think he just had something. His brain was wired up in a certain way, and it just was perfect for games.
Great. Let's have a look at one more. We've got one here from Bob. What is Bob going to say? Bob. Let's find out. He says, "Hi guys, the origin of Texas Hold'em. The first game of Texas Hold'em was played in the early 1900s in Robstown, Texas.
That sounds more sense.
And first came to Vegas in 1925. The fist game is, Bob says, I assume he means the first game, but he says the fist game is said to have been played by Crandall, Addington, Doyle, Brunson and Amarillo Slim. So if you're listening, Crandall, well not Crandall, but Doyle and Amarillo, you've apparently been playing a fist game of Texas Hold'em. Great show and keep up the good work."
I tend to believe this email.
Do you?
Yep, it seems to ring true. I think the dates sound better than 1960, whatever it was. This sounds truer to me.
But Tim's explanation of why it's called Hold'em still is the best we've got so far. It doesn't tell us why it's called Hold'em.
Yeah, we've got to find this out actually. Thanks a lot though, it's great to know you're out there helping us.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys. We're going to go back to 2-4 Cash, and we're going to have James Browning commentate for an unspecified period of time in the manner of a character of his choosing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've got to confess, I don't think I can do Sid Waddell, although I'm sort of a born Geordie. I haven't actually practiced him.
Okay, so who's it going to be, James?
I don't know, just whoever comes along.
He'll be possessed by the spirits of some long-dead, not very famous person. So hold on to your seats, folks. It's a 2-4 game. Mr. Browning.
I'm going to test your memory. We'll have a little... what can come on?
Should we have a phone-in request?
Yeah.
We can make a fortune on the numbers.
Can you remember Deputy Dog? Okay, Muskie, you pesky vomit! I'm gonna blow you to pieces!
It's very good, James.
Thank you.
But it's not about the game.
Oh no. Deputy Dog knew nothing about Texas Hold'em.
Oh, okay, fine.
We could have someone a bit more older and wiser. We could have someone, I don't know, probably our younger viewers wouldn't even remember it. Might have seen this guy around. He was quite well known. A guy called Derek Geiler. He used to be... Oh, yes. Not many people know I'm a Hold'em expert, you know. All right. We've got a flat call here from Charlie boy. It's quite hard work, this.
It is. Your face is doing amazing things, James.
Can I take over, please, Derek? We've got Dinger. He's got the ace-4 suited.
That's very good.
I hope he's not going to fall in love because of the prettiness of it. Because you've always got to look at the value of the hand.
And this is great commentary as well, folks.
He's hit the flop, but he's got a little kicker.
Uh-huh.
I've also got a problem because I've got a little kicker too.
So, what should you do with the little kicker, Frank? James?
Well, he's got position,
Uh-huh.
and I think he might put a little bet in. Because that's what Betty told me to do. He has. He's bet 16.
You bet 16, Frank.
The way I played him, Spree scored 16. What a cracker. What a cracker.
I've got 2 pair now. I've gone all in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone all in. $86. Yeah! He wins!
Okay,
Wow, James.
there we go.
I mean, you get your money's worth on Poker Night Live. I'm in awe. James, take a bow for the camera.
Oh, okay, thank you.
There you go, the man of 100 poker commentaries. Fantastic. Great. You should work on some Poker Night Live commentators, James.
Actually, I was talking with the director about this. I said I really should try and 2006. I should do a bit of homework on some poker players. We're trying to try and think who I could do. I think perhaps we could get Devilfish and
Howard Plant would be a good one, I should think.
yeah, the guy from the World Poker Tour does a commentary.
Mike Sexton.
Yeah, Mike Sexton. He would be a good one because he's sort of got a funny accent.
Mm-hmm.
Devilfish, I think he's got to be there.
Scotty Wynn.
Yeah, oh, that'd be a good one. Yeah, Scotty Wynn, that would be a good one. Phil Hellmuth, or Phil Hellmuth.
Work on it, James.
Yeah.
Because you've got...
So the Unibomber, be visual, I suppose. You just get a hood, that's easy, that one. You reckon could that be the way to go?
I think you could make a fortune out of this. Absolute fortune.
You could be my manager, Tom.
Okay.
Oop.
It's a deal.
Oh, right, there's no hesitation. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's got legs, this idea.
So you like the impromptu one there, then?
Fantastic. And I think playing Ace-4 the Frank Spencer way is definitely to be recommended. Well, it's good to have you back there, James.
Thank you, Tom. And we've had some good topics tonight as well. I do enjoy our little in-depth discussions. We always get one somewhere along the line. We tear a position apart, pass it back and forward, and I enjoy that.
Like lions in the kill.
Well, no, it's
Poker
good.
Dogma.
We do. We often take a position and we sort of do tear it apart and look at it. And I do enjoy that bit of it. But basically, I think for a lot of shows now, we've somewhere along the line we've had that little topic, and it's one of my favourite parts. I think I walk away sort of definitely with plenty to think about, which is good.
We've got Dinger 15 Liar here, James.
Yes.
And strangely, Tragic Trevor's moved round 2 seats.
That is suspicious. Got a full table. Johan there, probably in the land of profit again. And either Limemon or Limemon looking to be doing pretty well, because the maximum buy-in at this table is $400. Minimum is $40.
There's our leaderboards, and it's Limmy Mo.
Oh, Limmy Mo, sorry, sir. I didn't see the stick on your N.
Easy to miss.
Yes, it's when it's near the white part, near the edge of the table there. Disguises it. But we can see everything with that very clear leaderboard.
So plenty of chips on the table.
Yes, it's actually turned into a good game now, isn't it? Yeah, there's over $3,000 at the table. Not too shabby. And it's 12 from dinner. What's going to happen now? Rag is... Oh, and he... Dinger got worried there, didn't try it again. Rag took it down with a pair of 4s. Cooksey, flat calls with ace-jack. Tragic passes. Spree's got a pair of 8s. What's he going to do? Is he just going to call? Nope. So he raises it up, makes it 4 times the big blind, 16. Charlie boy calls with 9 queen. Whoa-wee, what's that about?
Madness.
I couldn't do that. Ace-8 calls.
I like that even less.
What is going on? And the ace-jack. Okay, I can just about appreciate that one. But still, probably not a call I'd have been making myself. Yeah, well, like, you know exactly where you are here, do you? Great, okay. Just, I can't see this, you know, what... I don't understand the size of this bet.
Only going to get called by a better hand.
It certainly is. It'll definitely get called by 2 pairs and trips and an overpair. No hesitation. And not only that, so it's 2 ways. It's bad because 1, he's only going to get called when he's cooked, and 2, he's not giving the people chances to make a bad call, and that's bad in money games. That is very bad. It's not because he hasn't got just 1 life like in a tournament where you can say, okay, fair enough, you're happy with what you've got, you're taking it down. Okay, maybe it's right in this situation, but when you're playing a money game, it's your job to maximise your wins. Give them a chance to call with King-Jack against your Ace-Jack. This is a nice situation. Yes, you will lose some of them. It doesn't matter because in the long run, after you've done it hundreds of times, you'll be making more money by getting them to make the wrong call. Because poker is about getting the other people to make mistakes. In this case, he just left the door open to be called when he was losing, and he didn't give the people a chance to make the mistake.
It looked like he was terrified of his early position, but if that's the case, then just ditch ace-jack under the gun in the first place. There's no shame in that. He was trying to negate his early position by getting himself all in.
Yeah. But once he's... the thing is, we've got to make a reassessment of the situation all the time. So, okay, we probably think he made a dodgy call of the raise anyway with ace-jack. But once that flop comes rainbow flop, jack high, reassess the situation. It doesn't matter how you got there. You have now ended up with what is likely to be the best hand. So now, make your decision. What size should the bet be? Well, this is a good hand, isn't it? So therefore, you don't have to make a panic move of going whacking all in at all.
Oi.
Oi. Trip kings. Oh, full house. And Spree had made the flush, but the kings housed up when the 2 paired. Aunt Sally. What a lovely hand though in the end. Charlie boy. Just calls with king 6. Not mad keen on that. And I'm less keen on calling with 2-6 off suited. Queen 9, all hands go on this table.
Aunt Sally used to grind it out on the $10 sit and goes. This is a bit of a leap.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember. I do remember. And look at this, we've had the bluff into a paired board by 2-6. And ace 2 is confident enough to think that they're winning.
That's a big call.
That's a raise.
Raise, rather.
Unbelievable. How does he... He's read it right, but that... Oh, my goodness me. How can he call that? He can't call it.
I don't think he can.
He can't call it. He's got to put it down. He's got to put it down. Unbelievable play by Rag. Wowee. He's actually done a sort of semi-bluff. I mean, it's hard to know. You can't know that he's going to win if he hits a diamond even. He's got this baby flush draw. It's a paired board. The other guy's raised, and he's done the re-raise. Absolutely incredible. And he's gone. Whoa! Can't do that more than once a night. I'll go to another table, he says. Unbelievable. You've become famous in one hand on Poker Night Live, and you've disappeared.
I think it was a very dodgy play from our man there in C8, because the guy is going to raise with a 10. Often you might say, well, if he's raised, he hasn't got the 10, he'd slow play it, but there was a draw there on the board. So the guy who raised and in the end was pushed out could well have had a 10.
Oh, he could have had the 10.
Yeah, it was certainly very, very much a possibility.
But the only thing was, his raise was pretty incredible with ace-deuce, wasn't it?
That was a surprising raise.
Well, because if the other guy's just got the ace rather than the 10, which he might have done betting, because sometimes the guy with the 10 might have even checked to see if anyone else wanted to do anything, but the ace is no good because every ace is better than his.
Maybe he's counting on a split pot.
But that was a peculiar raise anyway. It's a brave raise, wasn't it?
I mean, that was an exploratory raise, but because it's consistent with holding a 10, I just don't know how our man in C8 could have made that big all-in. Well, he made it, he had a draw, but...
Yeah, I wonder there... The ace-deuce probably paid the penalty of that small re-raise there, which was read as weakness by...
It's a nice raise with a 10, because he's still not giving his opponent the right odds to draw to a flush, not to hit it on the next card.
No.
So I'd say, well, that could well be a 10. I'm not going to try and pull off a monster bluff here.
We can't play either hand.
Good. Well, we've got our multi-table now, so we're going to get down and see how they're getting on. We're down to 3 now. Numero, the short stack. And J'aime Remake is very much in the game, but Skankink is, of course, the big chip leader there.
He is a big chip leader. But mind you, James is well in the hunt, though, isn't he? 157. And the big blind's 8,000. So it's Numero well under pressure. Numero has to look for a... Well, this would be me now. Because... oh, yes, I would push. I would push his Numero, hoping that... oh, wait, he's going to... Okay. I thought his Skankink was going to stay in there. Still probably would have pushed myself anyway. Even though I see that I would have lost. I don't think Jane would have called. 9-7 offsuit. I don't think he'd have liked to call 30-odd thousand.
Got to be this hand, Numero. Yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah, good enough for me as well. We can see there's an ace there. We don't know that, however. So we'd have put our heads into the lion's mouth, hit our second pair, and lost. 2 aces and 9s with a king. And we had kings and 9s with an ace. Not good enough.
Never mind, eh? Never mind. He gets 3rd place.
There he is. That's how it happened. But I think he did nothing wrong there, except I think he did something wrong the hand before. He should have actually, when there was the flat call, a pair of 4s, he should have pushed all in that time. And then he'd have captured a bit more money.
And for his pains, he takes
How much?
341 bucks.
No sense.
No sense in it at all.
Well, we've got a flush draw against a flush draw, potentially. And King 10, Skankink, raises it up. Makes it 24. It's a nice solid bet. I think Skankink's going to be exerting pressure in this heads up. Is my feeling. Good bet from him. And I'm interested to see what happens here. He's got Jack 6. What's he going to do? And he just makes it up. He's out of position, so he's probably saying, let's just play this on the flop. And he gets a chance to. 5-2-7. Now, he's not so happy with that flop because, he's bet anyway, but because James didn't raise on the button, he probably thinks he might have small cards himself. Anyway, he put the 8, he got it for the 8. That was tremendous value, wasn't it? But that's what I said earlier on in Heads Up, aggression. If you've got a doubt, be aggressive. Ask the question. Keep on asking the questions. When our viewer before said he was having problem in his Heads Up situations, I hope he's still with us and he can be watching this Heads Up situation here and evaluating what's going on. Wow. Well, middle pin straightforward for both players, but James has got the better kicker to the middle pin straight draw. And he's bet 40. Well, surely Skank can't call this. And he doesn't. Very brave play by James. Definitely felt like a semi-bluff to him. He probably thought he was losing, but if he knew he would hit, he would make the best hand. 5, 6,
Ooh.
5.
2 overcards, a gut shot, and an opportunity to represent a big hand. James might get involved here.
I think you might be right, Tom. And he's had a look, didn't get it. What's Skank going to do? Bets 40 and takes it down.
Yeah, I think if Skank had given James a bit of leeway to do the betting himself, maybe he'd have got more money, but of course he didn't know what James had. And of course James might have caught the gut shot.
Yes, that's right. And it's a sort of a flop which looks like that he probably thought that James probably did have some sort of draw. And I think he's doing well in the tournament there now. I think he's quite happy to take that one down there and then, just to sort of generally just whittle the guy away. So control the size of the pots, basically. So doesn't want to give him a chance just to bounce straight back into it. Queen, Queen, Deuce. 16,000 in the middle. And I think he might bet. Oh, he didn't this time. Well, I think he might bet this time. Yes, he does. 8,000, and he got it again for the 8. You see, if you can get away with taking down pots with small bets, it's amazing. It means it's so much easier to keep on trying it. Because all the profit you make from those, even if you get caught one time, the whole package is still a profitable venture.
Yeah, nice move there. Very nice move. It's not the end of the world if he's got it wrong and his opponent calls with a pair. And his opponent probably has got nothing. So he's taken the initiative. And if he walked into a pair, I'd have had sympathy for James there with that move.
Puts that one down. Well, it's still a pretty close contest. Well, that's quite a nice hand on the big blind, basically, for Skank. Just made up by James.
Oh, I could still fold it, I think. I don't like folding hands at this stage, but 10-3 off is about as bad as I can think.
Especially out of position.
Yeah. And it's good to fold a hand every now and then, just to encourage your opponent not to raise you when you call. So it's a fold for me.
I think I agree. And swung by being out of position with it. I think if I'm on the button there, I'll probably... Obviously, mind you, they've got the blinds a funny way around here. But I'll possibly make that up on the button, even if it was small blind on the button. I think I'll probably make it up, but not out of position.
Well, he let that one go. See if Skank feels the same way about 3-7. No, he folds it, and he's the big stack, so a bit more orthodox. Well, Jack is caught, 10 is caught, and James in trouble here. Yeah, he's certainly in trouble now. It's all over. James, it's all over.
We have the winner. It's Skankink.
What did he take away?
Oh,
He takes
$800
away
odd.
$816 for Skankink, $519 for unlucky second place finisher,
James
Grimac.
Oh, yes.
Oh oui.
You've been holding that one back.
Oh oui. Well done, guys and girls, if you're girls. Fantastic stuff. Let's have a quick look at an email. We've got one here from Semakara. It's a nice name, isn't it? From London. Hi guys, nice show as usual. Always watch the show and I've learnt a lot from you. Read the name Texas Hold'em. Here is an article from a website. Thanks for all the useful information you give. Keep up the good work. Thank you. The game of Texas Hold'em, says the website, has become the most popular version of the most popular card game played on the planet, poker. True. But how did Texas Hold'em come to be? No one really knows. There is no clear evidence as to when poker was formally introduced, and it was speculated that the game derived from borrowing elements of several ancient card games. One thing's for sure though, the birth of poker is a very old one. As for the Texas Hold'em version of the game, legend has it
Yes,
that
waiting.
the first game was played in Robstown, Texas, hence the name Texas Hold'em in the early 1900s. So we already knew that, but thanks
Yeah,
Samakara. But why do they, why Hold'em,
It's good to get that endorsed. I did sense this was the one, though. This is the one I liked the flavour of, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yep.
Good, thank you, Samakara. Well, let's go down to our 2-4 game.
Haven't we got wonderful viewers?
We've got fantastic viewers. I love them, I love them, I love them.
They're great, aren't they? Can't get more interactive than Poker Night Live.
Well, we
Viewers.
could have them in the studio throwing things at us.
Yeah, that'd be very interactive then.
2-4, it's a 2-4 cash game.
I think Flirty Liz wanted me to be interactive last night.
Do you think so? Well, that would be, you said Poker Night Live couldn't get more interactive than it is, and I think you've just proved how wrong that is.
Exactly,
From
yes.
your own comment there.
Got to keep an open mind, I think.
And Sally with the sevens.
You've heard about Flirty Liz, haven't you?
She's taken a shine to you.
She wanted to. I wanted to ask you, because I know you're an expert on animal behaviour.
I am.
And she actually, well, Kara was very polite. She didn't actually. She watered down the email which Flirty Liz sent.
Well, was it red hot?
Well, quite hot, yes. But she actually wanted me to, because they never see what we wear underneath it on Poker Night Live. Because they can just see the upper parts of the body, yes. And she wanted me to reveal my bottom.
Bottom half?
Yeah, bottom half, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, no, not naked or anything, I don't believe.
I see.
Yes, so I wondered, as an expert on animal behaviour, does this indicate anything?
She's ovulating?
Oh, right.
I don't know, James.
Okay, no, I just thought you might know.
I don't do bipeds.
Okay. Hey, we've got the back room yelling in my ear. They said we need a photo of Flirty Liz. That's what we need. We want to picture her.
Well, Elizabeth, Lizzie, if you're watching, then fair's fair. If you expect to see James's bottom half, then we like to see at least your face. But there you go. The stakes have been raised, as the butcher said.
Well, this 2-4 game, rattling along. Tragic Trev has got into the slightly better territory here, Tom.
What, the old $200 up territory?
Yes. I'm
Not
not
bad,
quite
is it?
sure about his overall situation here because he's changed seats and had the even number 400s. I'm curious to know his situation. I hope he's doing well. Johan's taken a little step backwards. Millwall Pete. No, I haven't seen him before.
No one likes him, he doesn't care. Well, it's left to Charlie to put in a bet. He does, Nate. Taken to the river. And no one has got any pair at all. Which means the Queen is boss dog.
Breaks the 600 barrier.
Yep.
Pair of queens, Aunt Sally. Raises it up, I presume. Yes, makes it 25 times a big blind. Chunky bet. Bit too big for my liking. I want to play this hand. Charlie boy calls with Queen Jack. King Queen just calls. Oh, well done. And ended up with position. Look at that. King Queen in the land of the unraised pot. Top pair with a straight draw knows that he's ruling this situation. There, he knows and raises. Second pair bet, King Queen raised.
It's a strange matchup, this one, isn't it? I'm not sure I've ever seen this before. King, Queen, Queen, Jack, Jack 10, King on the board.
Whoa. King Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot.
You're absolutely right, James. It certainly does.
Have you actually watched that quite a bit? So have you taken note of that? Sort of had a look to see that?
I do think about it when I'm dealt it, when I'm playing.
Yeah.
When I say, I'll show that James Browning, I raise it up.
Raise it up, yeah,
and
you
then I
ignore
lose
it.
loads
Yeah,
of money.
okay.
But no, it's quite good advice.
Yeah, I've actually been monitoring it actually quite a bit, and I now believe it even more.
Ah. And what's it like in Latin?
Oh goodness, that's embarrassing because I keep on forgetting it.
I think you should learn it in every language.
I think I better learn it in Latin first. He's been so kind to me. I have got it on my laptop, and I will look it up. I know you've said it in to me twice, and I'm embarrassed that I can't remember it. King, we must remember what that is. Rex.
Queen is Regina.
Yes.
Regina, I said.
Yes. Rex Regina. King, Queen, suited was...
I think that came across in the translation, it was suited.
No, that was the next bit. That's the bit you didn't like. It was
unraised.
The unraised was the bit you didn't like. You thought that wasn't too much like Latin, I think.
Mm.
I think if you said unraised or something, it would have sounded better.
Mm.
Yeah. Suited. Oh, goodness.
Aunt Sally having a punt here with the Queen 3 offsuit in the small blind. And let's see if Charlie Boyd decides to raise. No. Oh, he's got a queen.
Top pair.
Not bad.
Bets 8. That's a nice... Takes it down. And I think that's right, because the thing is, queen, small kicker, better to just state your situation and say, I've hit the flop, there you go. Because if you check and your opponent bets, you don't know why they're betting. Are they betting because they're stealing, or they're betting because they've got a queen with a bigger kicker, or whatever. Or have they got two pair, whatever. You don't know. So in that case, queen, small kicker, okay, pop out the bet. So you think you're winning, but also find out as well. Better where you are. Because if you don't find out where you are, there's 2 more betting rounds to go. Then you'll have serious problems working out what on earth you should do. Trev just calls a pair of 4s, I like that. Johan calls with king 8, he's getting later position, he's suited. She probably influences him in this part at this stage. Ace 10 just calls, wow. And look at this, we've got a nut flush draw for Johan. We've got top pair for Aunt Sally. No connection for the 4s. 3-8, no connection, not a great surprise. And king 10 needs a queen to make Broadway, top straight. So Johan bets with a flush draw, gets called by top pair. And look, the 4s has passed, and there comes a 4 on the turn.
It's a character building game.
Oh, and there's the queen, which would make Millwall Pete the hand. Isn't that incredible?
It's a character building game.
So Tragic Trev would have gone ahead on the turn. Millwall people would have won on the river, but they couldn't call and they correctly passed. It's a character building game, as Tom says.
That's my euphemism for it's an absolute, fill in the word of your choice.
Character building game?
Yeah.
I presume you were going to say?
Yeah.
Or possibly absolute tease.
Yeah, it's such a tease, Poker, isn't it?
It's such a tease.
When you've done a couple of grand.
Look at that. If I'd stayed out of one,
Fancy
what a
that.
tease. Fancy that, yeah.
You hear that sort of thing going on a lot in the card rooms.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I'd have made that if I'd stayed. Never mind. Good luck anyway.
If only that wag hadn't bluffed me off it, I'd have the bus fare home.
Pick up another hand. What we got here? A7. Millwall Pete, top of the league. Should be a new experience for Millwall, I'd imagine.
What, cup finalists?
Yeah, not been top of the league though. Been a while
No.
since that's happened, I'd imagine. But I'm not going to argue with them.
I suppose the poker analogy is that like anyone can win a tournament, but winning a cash game, you know, playing the same cash game for a day, every day for a year, it's just not going to happen unless
That's
you're a
right,
top
that's winning the
player.
league, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, that's good, a good analogy. I like that, yes. And some of the tournaments people win, of course, are probably a bit like the League Cup,
Indeed.
which throws up a few more surprises. Mind you, I'll tell you what, in these days of such big business in football and so much money being spent, it's interesting to see that the bigger sides now have to try harder in the League Cup, because if it looks like they're going to miss some of the other options, they now really have to take these smaller events more seriously, because they've got to justify all this money which is being spent. So it's that League Cup is probably now a lot harder than it used to be.
Charlie Boy limps. He's playing it for the implied odds on the flush. Or else he just doesn't quite know what to do with ace jack suited, also a possibility. Or he's got some nefarious plan yet to be revealed.
Listen, it seems to be very trendy at this table to limp.
You're going to tell them that it's not big and it's not clever.
No, I wasn't particularly, but I just said, but it just seems to be the pattern. I just think the tables often seem to create a pattern of play,
Uh-huh.
and it seems to me here they're quite happy to be limp, 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 limp. Let's have a look at a flop.
Well, these patterns can acquire a sense. I mean, if everyone's playing passively, then it makes sense to limp in with some hands that normally you would fold.
Look at this for a play. Ace-8 is bet out $40. And Charlie Boy, they had the flush draw and straight draw. Oh, now Spree's checked. Well, if he was going to bet the 40 there...
Yeah, he lost his bottle. Easy to do, of course.
Yeah, I see he's bet the 40 there, where it looked like his opponent could have been on a draw. In fact, when his opponent just calls, it's likely he's just on the draw. Because if he's got a made hand, he maybe comes back over to stop, in case he's on a draw.
Well, I think this is it. Spree thinks if he's on a draw, my ace-8 might be good.
Oh, he just thought he could have won it naturally.
I think he thought that if there was a chance he could win it naturally,
Okay.
and he didn't want to run a bluff against a possible monster. So
Okay.
he's looking to check fold. I think. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we could see that a bluff would have
No,
taken
no,
it,
no, I'm
but-
not. No, I'm not looking. I never look at that.
Sure.
I'm just looking at the situation. I'm wondering that one. I don't think it was the greatest one to put. I didn't like his bet on the turn anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought there was too much out there which could have been connected with people. But if he does it, then I think he has to follow it up. But I didn't like the bet in the first place.
Mhm.
But I think if he does it, he has to fire 2 bullets there.
Mhm.
Because he's representing he's got a made hand. And the last card is nothing really to worry him. So I think he then probably has to pull the trigger again.
It's an interesting point. I feel when it's a marginal bluff, I mean, it's not a marginal bluff, but it's a bluff that's going to go wrong. On occasions when on the river he is betting into a big hand, given that it's got scope to go wrong there, and given that some of the time you are going to have the best hand with the ace-8, and you're not going to face any sort of raised bluff on the river, that those two working against each other means the check on the river isn't quite as bad and lily-livered as it looks. I mean, I've got some sympathy for that.
Okay.
If he was with a hand that couldn't possibly win, that's a completely different situation, and I'm with you, James. I think you've got to fire a bullet on the river in case your opponent was drawing. But given that you're hoping he was drawing, and that justifies a bluff, checking
we
ace...
did touch on that before. In fact, I was saying that if I thought you had sort of a middle sort of hand, but I don't think ace high with an 8 kicker is middle, is my problem. I think that's lower down the ladder.
I agree. I mean, it's certainly not a great hand, but given that the hand you're trying to bluff off it, you might be beating with your ace anyway.
But I've got a problem as well, because if you check, your opponent might bet.
Well, that is another point. But then, James, if you check and you make a great call, if you can make the call, then that's extra money you're getting in there.
You're not calling with ace-8. No.
What about...
You'd have to have You'd need a few siders to be able to call with that one, I think.
Well, some of these players may be drinking cider.
I suppose so. Well, at this time of night?
Well, it's possible. It's a nice drink.
True. Refreshing.
I don't know. Maybe he just lost his bottle, but I don't mind the check there as much as you.
Okay. I think my problem was I wasn't that mad keen on his bet on the turn, but yeah, I think with him being out of position there, the very fact that he just leaves the door open that someone who might actually have worse hand than him, they just bets him off it. He can't call with ace-8, I don't think. Still, interesting situation. Pre-flop action. Millwall Pete, he's raised 20%, called 13. That looks like a pretty healthy style. Whereas the Genius looks to have a rather worrying style to me.
Yes, he does. 31% called, 0 raised. Texas is not a game really where you can have those stats. Maybe some other games just about you could grind out a profit, but not in Texas, I don't think.
If you're at a wild table, I'd allow those stats. If you've got like action bunnies everywhere, fair enough. You can just call, let them make all the moves and just take it down with your lovely big hands. But this is certainly not action bunny table. We've seen limp, 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 limp. When you see limp, 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 that means that people like the Genius should have been popping in some raises. Make the limpers pay.
And there's the bullets for Charwell.
And he's made it 36, so he's 3 times the initial raise, which is a nice price bet. I like it.
I
like the side bet, Charwell, and you're going to get paid here because the Genius has hit top pair. And I'll tell you what, this is even... Oh, no, he's got overkill. He's made trips. There's no diamond for anyone there. I'll tell you what, though. You see, what I hate here is the Genius here is prepared to call a raise 3 times the size of the initial raise with King 9, but he's not prepared to do any initial raises. That is worrying.
Yeah, consider yourself told off there, Genius. That is passive play.
Gosh, if you're brave enough to call a re-raise with King 9, please be brave enough to put in an initial raise.
Suited.
King 9 suited, yes, sorry. Hearts as well, very pretty to look at. Genius, so it's not courage you lack, you're prepared to call. Oh dear me, I don't like it. You must start, you be the one asking the questions. Don't just be passively calling. This is not the road to success.
And I think a moment's reflection with the King 9 would tell you that you're behind there.
That's right. And listen, if the opponent likes this flop, He's going to like it with the overpair aces, but he's also going to like it with king with a bigger kicker than you. And do you think he's going to like it with king and the lower kicker? I don't think so. So you've got to think, here it is. What do you think? Do you think he's going to like it with king 2, king 3, king 5, king 6? But he might like it with, if he has got king 4 or king 7 even, he would have you beat anyway because it's 2 pair. It's just, what are you hoping for? There ain't too many kings out there your opponent's got what you like. And he could have the overpair as well. Or he could have hit trips, or he could have had 2 pair. Who knows? But I don't like the call at all, really.
We try to find sympathetic ways to interpret players' actions on Poker Night Live, not necessarily because they're always merited, but because it at least opens up interesting conversations about how you can make an apparently strange play a winning play. But in that situation, especially where Charwell was short-stacked, it just looked to me like the genius wasn't even thinking about what his opponent could have and what might happen on the flop. He just decided he wanted to play this hand. So what's that got to do with poker? It's just gambling.
Yes. You see, the problem is if you make a call with a dodgy hand, you're going to get excited if you connect with it in any way. And everything else goes out the window. You don't even evaluate where it is. But all the time when we make decisions, we've got to evaluate where we think our hand is in the general scope of hands out there. Where is it on this ladder of hands? Well, king 9 is not too high up the ladder, I'm afraid. But we forget about that because you've made a mistake, and then you just get elated because some way that mistake is connected in some way. So really, really start thinking of the whole picture.
Well, he's okay on this one. He's bet out with a poor 10. He's only going to get called by a better hand. But he's okay there. And Spree takes it down. Let's have a look at some emails then before we wrap up tonight. We go on here from Graham saying, I really enjoy watching your programme, even to the extent of perhaps watching it too much when I should be concentrating on what's happening at my table. I've been playing poker for a couple of months now in both No Limit, Hold'em Cash and Tournament Online tables. Although I only play small blind, usually 25 or 50 cent games, and low buy-in tourneys, typically $2, I was originally averaging nearly $10 an hour profit.
Wow, that's massive.
In the meantime, I've read and reread a number of Hold'em poker books and tried to put what I've learned into practice. What I'm finding is that my hourly profit is dropping steeply. Logic says I should go back to playing the way I was before, but I don't think that logic always applies, given the very large number of hands you need to play to get even a ballpark idea of your true hourly rate. In particular, I'm trying to use some Roy Rounder techniques that results in frequent big, for me, losses that will reap much greater rewards when they pay off. It was just rather frightening raising up an initial 5 times the big blind bet to 15 big blinds on a hand you know you will ditch if the flop doesn't go your way and your opponent comes out betting. Do you think I'm right to continue developing my play this way, or is there an argument that at such low stakes tables I am using techniques that won't work on the majority of players who probably can't see past their own hands anyway? I know the answer might be to move up to higher blind tables, but I only have a bankroll of around about £600, so I am not ready to do that yet. Many thanks, says Mr. UK 1953, or Tango Man, depending on the site. James, I think I know what you're going to say, but I want to hear you say it anyway. What should he do?
Okay, well, one, absolutely tremendous email. Fantastic, very well written. Listen, I think here that against the very low levels here, you don't have to be too sophisticated. I think you've answered it yourself. Your sophistication is wasted. Doing plays there and doing re-raises, as you said, they're just looking at their own hand. They're going to play that. So it's hard to get people to get off their hands. You shouldn't try and bluff a mug, basically, to put it crudely. So therefore, you're trying to be too clever in a game where it's wasted. So in that game, go back to your solid, tight game, and you'll end up a winner in that game. When you move up the levels and the play becomes slightly the players become more sophisticated, then that's a good place for your more sophisticated plays. I happen to know that Roy Rounder's material is very good. I think he writes some excellent stuff. And one thing is, when we learn new literature, we sometimes get too excited by it also, and we try to use these new ideas, and we use the new ideas too many times. Take a deep breath, go back to your old standard for a while, and then gently reintroduce the new ideas, but not such a high percentage of time as you probably are using them.
There you go. Thanks for that, James. Finally, here we've got an email from Joyce saying, "Hi, Dr. Tom and James. James stated earlier that poker is 30% skill and 70% luck. With the help of Poker Night Live, I'm learning the skill, but when do I get the 70% luck?"
Tuesday.
Says Joyce, and our resident psychic, Madame Browning, has predicted it will be Tuesday. So
4:30 p.m.
buy a lottery ticket and sit down in a high-stakes game. We've run out of time, unfortunately. It's been a pleasure, as always. We hope you will join in later tonight for more Poker Night Live, and we'll see you very soon. Good night.